it, and you want to always make sure you are available. This is what helps set us apart. The reason government agencies love doing work with us is because typically, at least according to the stats, the average small business has this many people, one. So when they award you a contract, they know that you are going to give them so much time and attention, opposed to if they go with a big business, they're just another client, and they know that. In order to prime a government contract, you must be registered in SAM.gov. If you are interested in bidding on state and local, you do not have to be registered in SAM.gov unless they require it. There have been times in which I've looked at opportunities in great states like Oregon, and part of the funding was coming from the federal government. So registration in SAM.gov was required. For those of you, maybe you're just interested in grants, registration in SAM.gov typically is also required. That is why having your business name, business banking preferred, a professional email, phone number that they can easily reach you at, and that you can receive text messages, as well as a physical address, are just the basics in order to get approved in SAM.gov. I have lots of content on SAM.gov and more is to come, but at the end of the day, this is the first step, and I do not want you to use this as an obstacle or hurdle to say, oh, I can't go forward because I can't get through SAM.gov. You've already said that, or you've heard somebody say that. We're now in the phase of taking action. We're taking action. You want to find out who buys what you sell. I got that. And
it's crazy. Sometimes you ask Fable 5 to do something.
How do they buy it? So you can go to USA Spending. You can go to SAM.gov.
Like,
this is a great opportunity to use AI. You can ask, what are agencies spending? Typically, agencies spend the majority of their funds on
it's the Money Buddha Show. Money Buddha.
Building, outdoors,
Money Buddha. Money Buddha. Okay.
IT, professional services.
It's the Money Buddha Show. I am Money Buddha. You're on my show. This is the motherfucking Money Buddha Show, the greatest show that's ever been in the fucking history of reality. And every person in reality who doesn't understand that doesn't understand that this show is the greatest. A is suffering from a mental deformality, you know, i.e. their brain is, you know, deformed. You know, they're suffering from a brain deformality. They're deformed, or they're trying to sabotage the show because they know it's the greatest show.
There are tons of these opportunities.
And you would say, well, Buddha, why would they go you back? Because, man, it's greedy, man. It's greed. Corporate greed, man.
In the parking lot of a business, because it's a kind of
it's like an RPG style game, and you can see like even the camera angle doesn't make much sense. However, if you compare that versus Fable 5, it's still a decent job there. But I mean, comparing it to, for example, Quen 3.8, Quen 3.8 this task versus
in summer.
It's corporate greed, man. So basically, they see your rising channel.
The thing to note here is like this doesn't mean
they see that you're a fucking the chosen one.
Nowhere near the same level as a
expensive. Let's readdress
if you're going to build something out, I probably wouldn't use it directly for procurement of some other stuff. So,
they see you're a fucking chosen one, right? And they're like, oh man, if that guy fucking actually gets what he's looking for, he could be dangerous to a level that we've never seen before. So what they do is they sabotage. They sabotage you and hold you back. They hold you back from greatness. And by doing that, they basically, that's how they keep the game and underneath their control.
And this is just simplified acquisition. Like a lot of the builds we're testing out here. This one was actually probably one of the best options that we got here. So it's kind of like a racing game, as you can see. It just, the only thing that I would say here is like it just kind of lacks the overall feel that you would hope from it. So if you look, for example, you can't really travel that far, and it's also quite slow when we test it out. Whereas, for example, if we have a in comparison versus Quen 3.8, Quen 3.8 did a much better job. And some people even say that Quen 25.8 is not that good, but from everything I've tested, it is a great model, especially compared to, for example, music. So look, this was the Dragon Realm game.
So for instance, if they say, oh, we're going to
I tried to lay still. I was hoping they would just drive by me.
Set aside.
So by understanding that, you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on, Buddha. They're fucking hating. That's what the kids say. The kids call it hate. And I would say, yeah, bro. They're hating.
It tells your prospect, wow, you really know what you're talking about.
This one was probably one of the better.
They're fucking hating, bro. They're hating.
You got it. Focus on just networking.
It's got some cool stuff in there. The controls are nice. They did a much better job in the Fable 5 first time round as well. But I would say GT5 Soul and Quentin and that's actually something that I'm seeing consistently. It's like, it's just not winning any of these tasks. And the reason that we actually created Goldie Bench is just to test.
Hold on, let me see quick.
See, okay, how does it perform?
By you watching a video like this, getting a code and
not against benchmarks.
Winning a
now, if we have a look at this one, look how basic.
$500 over 300,000. Like one of my students, Chauncey,
it just feels really person. It's not playable.
Why am I not doing that?
Whereas like nowadays, you can build something absolutely amazing as well.
What is this all
you can see Fable 5 nailed it, GT 5.6 nailed it as well.
Set up for success to go.
Now,
was at the beginning of the end, which was our largest loss.
As you find out how
willy-nilly contract.
This one was very, very basic indeed.
Or just make things simple. Let me explain. Often,
it lacks yourself. That's what I'm saying.
Easier.
This is a trip scheme.
I started out subcontract.
But you can see when we move around, like the arms
are missing. Just
test out run into the character runs.
I was a
okay.
line item.
For example, like GT5.6
labor category. Had my PhD. I graduated in that December of 07, Forever 28.
Let's see what we got here.
The contract was a little less than 6 figures. From there, I got to really
this one is not too bad. It just,
I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have savings. I didn't have my 401k. I just went
see how
with
that
it.
character has got stuck
Shortly after, I ended up
it's not very good at like reasoning or thinking things. Whereas if you have a look at Fable 5's version, look at the lighting, look at the colours, look at the feel, the vibe, the shadows, everything is right there. We have a look at GT 5.6 Soul, much more impressive. And then
thinking that you can simply pay someone and register in a bunch of portals so that you are available to sub
this is literally what you can see. It looks really good and build stuff out with it.
Or thinking, well, I provide the service right now.
I don't even know how to change this.
Somebody's going to want to sub. There has to be a value that you are offering.
$19,500.
Patrick Air Force Base, now Patrick Space Force.
I don't think the fucking can.
My expertise, data analytics. I fulfilled a need that was tied to their mission, and therefore, how did they get monies on contract? Through the contract that they already had in place.
This is super slow.
It's as simple as that. You may wonder, well, how do you figure out? How do I figure out what they need? It's by doing research. Are you on LinkedIn? If not, you should be. Current administration says we love TikTok. More and more agencies are on TikTok, including the SBA. Are you on TikTok? Why
not at all.
These are the places to be to not only see and engage with the agencies, but to find out who has been awarded these contracts. You can simply look them up on USA Spending, on SAM.gov, using AI, implementing on LinkedIn. There are a ton of different groups on LinkedIn where they may be looking for somebody like you. So for instance, for upgrade like PPC, we provided especially training. I found different trainers through LinkedIn and then through word of mouth. And these are individuals that have made anywhere from maybe 1,000 or 2,000, and I've had contractors make millions, all through offering value. They offer value.
We'll just get a basic task.
You are focused on you, and you're just thinking, oh, I have to come in here and make
Quen 3.8 here, and we'll just give it like a learning test, like learn.
The opportunities are not going to be as ample.
So if you take this command
focus
here,
on
plug it
them.
in,
One of
and
the
we'll do the
biggest
same
mistakes I
inside
made early on
views, and we'll just
was I
compare
won this
what's the speed like, how does it
with
perform,
basically with the Navy, and
can it
I
actually
did the
pull
training.
tools
And one of
just
the common
genetically?
complaints
Let's have a
was, well, you've never served in the military.
So you can see they're both.
And the reason I did so
And
was
what
I
this
wanted
task
to
should
keep
do
the
is
progress.
basically
But at the
learn
same
this
time,
guy.
while
So
I
forward slash
lost out on additional opportunities with them,
analyze
what was
this
the
guy,
biggest
and
learning
then
is I
create
took a
this
step back.
skill.
And then I started
So let's make
to
this
look
load.
at retired military members,
It's actually
retired
replied faster. The
individuals. I
Quen
started bringing
3.8,
in
which is pretty
different
impressive
trainers
itself.
who had experience
Let's have a
in
look
corporate
what
and
this skill is
it
like
was the
itself.
biggest lesson. Shadow. Feel
Yeah,
free
so it's
to
a decent skill, like quite
hey, can I shadow you? I'm really interested in
quite in
learning
depth.
more
He's taken the
about
information from the
government.
guide that we gave him,
I would really
analysed
love
it, created a good table here,
see
being
what I
very
can
specific
do
with the
to
skills,
help you
and then you can see Quen
make
3.8
calls. How do you
skill waiting
operate?
to reply.
You
So
know, there
actually,
was a point in time
I think
there was
it might not
somebody who
be
had asked to learn
using
more
this for
about how
coding
I
so much,
operated.
actually using it, for
And I
example, inside
actually
Hermes, or even
flown
delegating
the
tasks to a
Miami,
sub-agent
and
might be
they
a
spent
better
a couple
use
days
of
here.
it. Because when you're using it directly
You
inside
never
Coda,
know
it's not getting that
until
consistent
you ask.
levels.
The
However,
other
if you
strategies
look at,
for
for
bonus
example,
feel
Quen
free
3.8,
to
front-end
work
model,
for a government
really
agency.
good
There
for
are
grading stuff out,
a wide
not
variety
great
of
for agentic tasks when it takes so
opportunities
long
for federal
to
agencies, state, local.
So that might be the best way to get the most out of it from everything I've seen.
State, local.
So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get
This is all about
agent
building
operator systems, you do have
confidence. That's all it is.
Next one on the mission involves
It's
security.
to get you to the point.
Job is to drive the enemy
Say,
out.
so
okay,
that
I'm
you can
ready.
use
I'm
Spark,
ready
you can
for
code of it,
major
build stuff out, preview
I'm
it, and
ready
then you can actually
to
view
be on
what you've
varsity.
created earlier
I'm ready
inside
to
this
step
system
out.
as well.
That's
You can also
all
use
this
the
is.
Hermes
It's
Agent
just you
OS as well,
putting in
where we've got
reps a
different
different
profiles with
way.
different models.
Just
We have
make
the
things
voice
simple.
agent with
At
Hermes,
the end of
Hermes
the day,
Oracle, Hermes
if you
Astros,
really
the
want to
studio
get
for
in
building
there
stuff
and
out,
help,
plus the
just
full
think
memory
of ways
system,
to
so
make
that
things
the day
simple.
that
Can you make
this
phone
new
calls?
model
Can
came
you
out,
help
was plugged
somebody
into Agentic
who
OS. You
maybe
can grab that
they need
inside
people,
the
they
AI
need a
offboarding,
person
link in the comment
to
description,
review
or go
some
to
of
the
their
AIprofitable.com.
proposals. Maybe somebody
Inside the
needs
community,
some help.
you
They're
can
not
ask
as
questions, get help and support in real
savvy,
time.
and they need
Inside the classroom,
assistance with
you can get all of our
LinkedIn or with
trainings
their
and courses and
website,
our
or
full
they
agentic
could be
operating
somebody who's
system.
not
So
a
we have
people
full
person,
zip file for it here,
or
and
they're
we
more
update it,
insecure
and then
and they
you can
need
grab
somebody
all
to
of our
be the
sheets
face
as
and
well.
to be out
Inside the
there.
calendar, you can
What are
jump on
ways you
coachable,
can
share
make
screen,
things
ask
simple?
questions,
What are
and
ways
then inside the
that
map,
you can give people
in your
time?
area
You
who
can
are building out
advertise
with
these
AI
services
agents
on
like this. Feel free to join.
Freelancer,
Link in the comments
on
description, or
Upwork,
just go
on
to the
any kind of platform. You can even just put it
Thanks for watching.
on TikTok or LinkedIn. At the end of the day, when you have that confidence and you know what you offer is amazing, there's no reason you're not going to win. There's no reason, because the goal is to find and bid fearless. Find and bid fearless. Not perfect. This is not about perfection. You know, there was this opportunity I bid on. Let's say it was for the Air Force, and I was going through the document. I kept saying Army. I still won. There was this one opportunity that we got with NavAir, and I remember thinking, like, there's no way they're ever going to go with us. This proposal sucks. And we won. I mean, it's like, it's counter to a lot of the things that I talk about now, because these experiences have gotten me to this place. Having been awarded over 100 contracts, having an Oasis Plus contract, previously being an 8A holder, previously being on Stars 3, having
This
an
officer then
MAS
says, I thought it was
These
only
are all
happening
things
to
that I
me.
have learned to lead to
No, it
success.
seems to be
The
pretty
more
bad.
and more you find and bid
seems to be
fearless, the
pretty
more apt
average.
you are to
I'll
win.
tell you that.
Build relationships, leveraging LinkedIn, and once you win, you want to go forward and get that second money. Go ahead and congratulate people who won. Perhaps you bid on an opportunity for snow removal and you didn't win. Reach out to the winner. They're typically listed on sam.gov, or you can ask the point of contact who won. Same goes for state and local. Ask the point of contact. Hey, Trisha, I'm just curious, who won that opportunity for the medical staffing? Reach out to them. Hey, congratulations. By the way, if you ever need additional support, I'm here for you. Or offer something of value, not just here's my capability statement. At least once a week, I'll receive an email. And it's just like, hello, I am a woman-owned business and I would like to do work. I see you had this opportunity, and I feel like it's this NPC just do. I mean, I get it, because I once did that. I remember I paid this consultant, and he's like, this is what you do. I mean, and guess how much work that led to? Yeah, double zeros. And we're not playing roulette. So I didn't get any work. I love the fact that they reached out, but you haven't even asked anything. You're coming to me as if you're expecting me to say, oh yes, what would you like? Would you like steak? Are you kosher? Are you vegan? Are you pescatarian? What can I cook for you? Like, that's not how this works. It's building a relationship to figure out how you can most be of help to them. You're focused on them. Focus on them. That's all that it is. And the more and more you do that, the more opportunities you're going to have. You know, just recently, we had a former contracting officer reach out for coffee, had a government employee reach out about things. We have won numerous contracts because the contracting officer went from one agency to the next agency because relationships were built. Same thing with colleagues. For the longest, colleagues would reach out. Hey, we heard that, you know, you're in training. At the time, I did a lot of diversity training, just saying. They would reach out. Are you still doing this? I mean, for the longest time. Even of recent, I received a message. Hey, I remember you from Diomi. That's great that the relationships are there. Always remember to focus on them. So it goes both ways. When you're reaching out, you're focused on them. And when people are coming to you, you want to make sure that they're focused on you too. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can also build relationships by going to events. There's some really cool events coming up in Texas. For instance, my success coach has helped my coaching students win contracts by going to those. But make sure you have a plan. This is another mistake many people make, is they go to these events and they're like, oh, I felt really good. And then I ask, like, what did you get out of the event? What was your plan going into the event? And what's your plan following the event? And then I get like nothing. You want to have a plan. Why are you going? You should at least contact 5 people. You want to follow up within 24 hours. You want a plan. If your plan is just to go and have an experience, great. That's amazing, you know? However, if your goal is to really build lasting relationships, then make sure you ask for the email list. Go from there. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Connect with them on TikTok. Another error that people make, you want to apply for set-asides after your first win. I get, okay, so Dr. Parks, so I got a business, I got a cage code, I'm ready to go, I'm working on my WSB, I'm working on my SDVOSB, I want to get an 8A, and it's like, okay, let's just pause for a moment. What is the goal of having all of these set-asides? With this current administration, the emphasis on diversity and inclusion is gone, and then subsequently, many of the states have followed suit. Government contracting is connected to politics, period. If and when the president is a Democrat, things are going to change. Diversity will be everywhere, okay? Right now, the focus is on providing the product and service in an efficient way that saves the taxpayer money. Does that mean you can't make a profit? No. One of my coaching students is walking away with over $100,000. That's amazing. He invests that for 20 years. Go on the compound interest calculator the government offers for free, and you'll see how much you would have at 10 to 15% return. Instead, put yourself in the position of having confidence and bidding on opportunities that you are comfortable executing. It could be pressure washing, it could be janitorial, it could be training, it could be painting, it could be roofing, it could be HVAC, it could be snow removal, it could be any and all of these types of opportunities, as well as religious staffing. We just received a message from a former client, Marine client, that had an opportunity out there for their chapel. These are different opportunities to go after and where you want your focus. After your first win, now go ahead, work on the WOSB, work on the different set-asides. Because what you want to do is get cash coming in and then building your business accordingly. That is vital to having your business sustained. While it seems that you have to know every single thing because it's government contracting, it has to go with federal dollars or state or local, at the end of the day, it's about making their lives easier. I had asked a client at the USDA once, I said, I'm just curious, why do you guys like doing work with us? And she said, you are a one-stop shop. I'm all about making lives easier. The same goes for you. So don't focus so much on, I have to learn everything. I have to price it perfectly. I have to know all the rules and regulations. And some of these things will just come with experience. And I get that even as I say it, it may seem like, but that's part of being an entrepreneur. Whether your goal is simply to
so
$1,000 profit or to make $1 million.
The way that I use second brain,
a lot of your experience
is designed for personalized responses. It's designed to avoid having to give too much
That's why you
context
want
all the
to
time.
act
So
without fear.
what we have, for example, is we have a second brain, which is Obsidian. We use Obsidian inside our
I love and
system.
adore you all.
Right?
Please make sure you like,
It's
subscribe, hit the notification button.
The way that you use
Everything
it is basically,
possible.
it's a free app
Take care. Bye, y'all.
that has all of your memories automatically.
My first win. It's for cooling tower parts. $42,000 in parts. And I added a 15%
And then your agents
I know nothing about cooling towers.
Do it. Right.
Do
So
it
every time
wrong.
you use your
Do it
agents,
badly.
they
But
update the memory
I had a
system,
second
and then that
win
plugs
through a
back
state
into the memory
contract
galaxy.
for trapping wild
So
pigs.
what that means essentially is
It'll
like
net
when
me
you're
about a
using
50% margin
Hermes
with somebody else
agent,
doing the work.
he already has context on you.
You
which
started in
saves time.
February of this year?
And so that's the way we use it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to give you
And how
one of
it
your
helps. It just
weirdest
saves
things,
time.
one of these
It
crazy
helps
little
get more
facts.
personalized responses.
I
and
own
better
a
responses
haunted
from
hospital
AI,
in New York
but it saves
that
you
I
having to
bought
like
at a government
explore
auction. And not
different memories
3
and
hours
different
after
tools. So
I
for example,
finalized the
let's say
purchase
I'm
of that,
using these
I had
today.
people finding me on the
normally
internet
what
figuring out
happens
that I was the
is
winning
copy
bidder,
paste
and it hadn't even
context from one app to another one. And that would be the same
love
time.
it.
So you put this system instead.
I love it.
What you can do
And this
you
is
grab
a great opening
Obsidian
to
Vault,
talking
and you just
about
plug that
government
into everything.
contracting.
And
I
it's just like
cannot
a USB
say
stick
I've
with
never
a
met
system.
anyone who bought a haunted
says in the last one,
hospital.
that's
So
about
how
adding
did you
flow to
get
the
into
OS.
government contracting?
What about
I'm a delayed entry, for lack of a
Just
better
a
word.
webpage
I've
that one
known
can
about it
access
for a
instead.
very long
For those
time.
who don't have
And I used to look
studio.
at stuff and think I should.
Yeah,
do
so
that.
I mean, like I
my
said, right?
history is in
Best
tech
way
support,
to
crisis
use these
management,
systems is
worked
use
for
it.
both startups
I think
and big
I gave it the
companies.
same.
And so I've dealt with
Gave
a
the
lot
same
of
amount
government
last time.
type
It's one of these,
contracts
like,
that provided
contracts
services and support
if
to
you
the
want to plug
government.
in,
And told
you
myself
want
plenty of times I should be
now,
out there the one
you
doing
could,
this
for
and making the
example,
money,
create
not
a
instead of doing
custom
it.
coder like this. where
Earlier this
you
year,
code out
the end of January, I got notified I was
and then
being
you
laid
get
off.
everything saved inside one workspace.
So on
That could
January
work as well.
29th, I found out I'm
But
being
for me
laid off.
personally, I think
February
the best way
7th,
to
I
get the most
started
out
my
of
new
Google
company
Gemini inside a system
specifically to
like
do
this
government.
is you have
I've been following you for a
and then you just
while,
log in
probably
with
for 4 or 5 months before that. I've watched every video you put out in at least the last
and that
2
way you
years.
can use your profile and get the most out of it.
And so I decided I'll start looking at the things I know how to do: training, program management, project management, and just started diving in. I had some friends that were like, hey, do you want to help me with my company? And so I've helped other people write some of their bids, give them the information they need. And then I dove into it, said, this is what I'm going to do as well. I have been fortunate. In the meantime, I did pick up another corporate job, so I have something going in the background. So I work, my day there, and then as soon as my day there is done, I'm on sam.gov and pulling up all of the bids I want to look at for today. And I do that every day.
And what do you lean into? What is like that area you're like this? I mean, you talked about what you know, and I love that you focus in on the areas that you know. But what are you looking at daily? What type of opportunities?
I go really wide. I do one of the things you say not to do. I overwhelm myself. I look at every bid open in the last, or every solicitation open in the last 24 hours. And right now for this quarter, that's about 1,000 solicitations a day. And I literally just sit and pop through page. I'll get to my win here later, but I try to skip over a lot of the small parts things. I look for services that match what I do, training, development, and then where my actual particular focus is right now. I'm also a former franchise owner for a fitness franchise. I'm certified as a coach in about 5 different sports. I raised and coached kids for years and years. And so fitness is a passion, and I'm a veteran of 2 different branches of the military. And so I focus a lot there on anything that I do that's going to help veterans. So right now, my big focus, if this says it's from the VA, I'm looking at it. And then in particular, if there's anything out there that says fitness, I'm looking at it. Those are the ones where they're going to grab my attention immediately. I pull them open, I leave a tab open. I think I looked right before this. I have 12 open bids on the federal side that I'm going to look at, 5 open for the state of Texas, and then 1 multiple award schedule that I want to try to get.
Oh, good. I love that. And I love the fitness one. We have an exercise physiologist, but I saw one recently where they want a bunch of fitness instructors. And I thought, that's beautiful. And I love that you're leaning into the VA, and thank you for your service, because that is where all vets should spend 1,000% of time on the VA. Hands down, because I can't bid on the things of the VA.
Well, and that was my first win was to the VA.
Well, we got to learn more about this. What was that first win for?
And it was what I just said I don't know. It's parts. My first win was to a VA hospital here in the Dallas area. And it's for cooling tower parts, which are HVAC, but outside giant cooling towers. I know nothing about cooling towers, nothing about HVAC. I am construction savvy. That was one of my jobs in the military, so I understand a lot of that. But I was like, okay, I know this location. I have to bid on this. And I said, because it's local, I could drive there in an hour. I'm going to find out everything I can about it. And started doing researching for what they had and found out there's only one distributor in the state of Texas that can offer the parts they need. And I was like, well, this seems just simple. I'll reach out, contact them. And I sent them an email, fairly open-ended with, hey, I need pricing of these parts. And that's all I said. An hour later, the guy sends me back full quote and tells me that it's for this VA hospital at this location, and here's not just your parts, but the actual quantities they need as well.
I'm still getting my
And I was like, so I take it I'm not the first person to reach out. He goes, no, you're the fifth one.
You mean Obsidian? I was 16,000.
And so I knew there was a lot of competition as well. But I followed your advice. I wrote up and got away from some of the things I used to do earlier. I used to focus on being a veteran. Instead, I focused on the proposal and what they asked for. They wanted it in 100 days delivered. And that was the thing. I mean, we have to have these parts. It's important. We need it in 100 days. Right? The vendor told me they could do it in 1 to 2 weeks. I told the government I could do it in 2 to 3 weeks. Padded my time a little bit. They wanted a firm price, gave firm price. They wanted shipping. I gave them shipping. They wanted it delivered on specific dates. I agreed to that. All of those things. And man, the day of the award, it's one of the weird ones. On the day of the award, they came back and said, hey, James, I just want to let you know I've selected you for the contracting officer.
Don't lose everything.
And I was like, win! I got my score, you know, it's not first.
That's the way that I would do it. You just try and make it more useful. Because if you have
and it took probably a week or more before they actually delivered the paperwork from their side to me.
I can imagine like your AI probably
me and the distributor had been talking, had it all. The moment I got it, I said, okay, it's confirmed now. Let's do this. It took him 3 or 4 days of us back and forth. He goes, okay, now I need this paperwork from you to set you up as the customer. I said, okay, we get that. And from the day I signed that with them, with the distributor, I think that was on like Wednesday. They delivered the parts the next Tuesday. So, yeah, the government wanted it 100 days, and I had to deliver it under 10.
That's amazing.
It was fantastic. And like I said, it had next to nothing to do with me.
That's not true. It had everything to do with you because you went after something that is local. You felt comfortable with listening to intuition. You built rapport, and you did something to stand out. You didn't say, oh yeah, I'm going to do 100 days like everybody else. You're like, no, it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks. Those are the things that really put you past everybody else. And then to deliver it before 10 days is phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Well, and I talked to the site contact, and it's not even his normal job to order those parts. And he, you know, and this all happened in the last couple of weeks. He's been asking the government for these parts since March. So they're as slow on their end as we think they are after we've won. And so being able to give a date, he said, was one of the biggest things I could have done. The other is I asked the distributor to give me a letter saying I'm an authorized customer of theirs. And I delivered that as part of my proposal. He told me those two things made me stand out compared to others. I also found out I was not the lowest bidder. So it was lowest price, technically acceptable. And he told me one of the bidders was so low that it couldn't even have been for the parts. You know, he couldn't have paid for the parts had he wanted. It was like the quantities had to be wrong or something. In the end, it was almost $42,000 in parts, and I added a 15% margin. And for what cost me 3 phone calls and 10 emails or something, the hardest part of that whole contract was the day before it was due, the contracting officer reached out and said, hey, we made a mistake. we put the wrong part numbers on the solicitation.
Oh, no.
And I was 14. I had already talked to the guy. He goes, hey, just so you know, he goes, I think what they have on there is wrong. Here's what I'm quoting. And it was literally some of the digits were off of, they were O's instead of zeros. One of the things. So the partner, the distributor, knows that site so well because they've done business with the past. He's like, I know what they want. And so I got to tell the contract officer, hey, no problem. The quote I gave you is still good. I quoted you what you wanted, not what was in your paper. And because I worked with them and I knew what they wanted. I later found out as well, it was one of those that when you think about how does the government buy, how much do they know they should pay for it? When I talked to the site contact, he goes, I had the same price quote you do from that distributor. He goes, I know exactly how. He says, how much it costs depends on how we have to procure it. If it had been over a certain amount, we wouldn't have been able to do it this quarter. I had to wait till next year. Da, 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 da. He says, so I have the exact same price quote you do. He goes, because I've done business with them for years. And like he said, if you'd asked me when I first started doing this or when I was helping other customers doing it, other companies do it, we were trying to hit home runs. I had added another $50,000 to that. I was doing all the dumb things you shouldn't do. I was like, yeah, I could do this one job and retire. No, I figured out that doesn't work. And so I've probably bid on 30 to 40 jobs this year. And that's my first win. And I have some more that I probably still have an okay chance of winning, that I know I'm at least competitive because of my pricing. And I've bid on other things that are huge. I've bid on something for the state of Texas that would be a $185 million contract.
Ooh, I love
and it was basically a sources sought. We're looking for somebody to manage this ranch that the state of Texas decided to buy. That's 300,000 acres. And I have family that shows and breeds cows. So I know cattle and I know people that could do the work. And it was one of those that was, for me, that was a quick, I could call one family member and get all my pricing that I need for this. And I was partially right. I got all the stuff on the cattle side, but it included building runways and things. By the time I was done with the proposal, it included what things we needed to build on the site to make it a site. You know, there's so many different things to do to make this ranch viable for the state of Texas so that it doesn't cost them.
And I love this, that you have changed the mindset from I'm trying to bid and get rich to like this business shift, and that you're going after a wide variety because at the end of the day, they just want to have that trust. They want that trust. And so it's great that you're going after them because, you know, who else would go after like the cattle? Maybe there's a company that specializes in it, but maybe they're too high, or maybe they know of them and they don't want to do work with them, and maybe they're open to taking a chance. So it's beautiful that you're doing this. Love, love, love this. And, you know, I'm curious, with your win, how did you work out payment? Did they offer funding? Did they do net 30? Did you use a credit card? How did that work?
The parts distributor gave me net 30. The government's offering to pay it net 30 as well, but I bid within my means. I had that money set aside, so I knew that I would be safe. I bid on some others that I would have to figure it out if I won. But at the same time, I'm willing to take that chance.
That's a good chance to take. It's a very, very good chance to take. And I gotta know.
Today I'm going to run you through the
you talked about this haunted
which means you have one AI employee.
I understand that, you know, it may seem like a jump, but I gotta know. Please talk to us about this haunted hospital.
So imagine, for example, you hired a brilliant.
I saw a news article flash about this haunted hospital for sale. And I thought, as a joke, I'm going to click on this and go
something
look.
built, you have to walk to the task.
And it was just because it was literally a news flash on my screen, and I clicked and followed it to a major news site, then went to the auction site and started
apps
and it's in Saratoga
zero shared memory. And the assistant is smart, but the office is
it's a 100-plus-year-old hospital. It's old, it's decayed, parts of it fallen apart. But it was used to treat tuberculosis back when they thought good, clean mountain air would actually cure tuberculosis. By the way, it doesn't.
Hermes Apollo for voice agents. We have
and so it's unfortunately got a lot of history to it, and a lot of people pass there over the years. And it has a huge history. Most of this I didn't know at the time. I liked it because it has 17 acres, it has a house on it, and it has this hospital, by the way, which is over 50,000 square feet. And so I was buying it because the architecture, the location, thought of it in my head, back of my head, kind of a, hey, this could be a retirement type place, someplace to visit during in Texas.
You can have all of the
like I said, I won the bid, and about within the next couple hours, somebody reached out to me and said, you have no idea what you run if that's all you know about. And told me that people have been going there for 50 years and doing, kids use it as a hangout to go do things kids do, but then people go there, swear there's ghosts, and there are documented stories where people have been traced off by a caretaker that passed away many years ago. And so I partnered with a guy named Steve Broad, who runs a company called Haunted Nights, who does haunted tours at different locations around the country. And so he literally runs tours of my haunted hospital on a regular basis, sells tickets through his company, takes them on a tour, and I get a small piece of the action for being the owner. So I took something that was a good idea, then we turned it into a business idea.
I love this because it shows you how you can monetize from a government auction.
And also avoid
because this was a government auction. This wasn't just like somebody.
It was a tax foreclosure.
Yeah, tax foreclosure. That's
now also one thing that I like about the system is if you have a bigger job,
really cool because like GSA has a bunch of things that they auction off. You have the tax. Every state and county is a little different. But I love this, and I love that you have tours there. I think that's so amazing.
Well, it is fun, and I laugh because it really does. I get reach outs from people that find me from a news article. There was, for example, I did some interviews with the newspaper there, and then we actually filmed one of the TV shows for Paranormal. Filmed Destination Fear, which is a show about a guy and his sister and their best friend. They go out and they ride it evening, and they explore a little bit, and then for the night they all separate and go sleep in different parts of it alone. And that's their thing, and they stay the night, and then the next day right here. And then we were like the second half of their season, and we were the first location that they refused to sleep alone. They have video somewhere on their YouTube channel, the whole thing. It's the Saratoga County Homes, but it's out there, and they have something caught on film. And because of that, they refused to sleep alone. They all stayed together that night, and we were the first place they had ever had.
Whereas, for example, if you have to go into your
I love those kind of stories, but I'm scared.
By the way, I also told my wife I bought this.
Through this list, it's super
okay, well,
it's really
that's for a different type of interview, but
that's why you want.
I love this, though. I love the variety because it really shows you that we all get to make our paths. It's government contracting. We all get to make our paths. So for the new person, the person who's like you, hey, I know about it. I can be doing this. Where should they focus?
You can just grab our zip file that's ready
I'm going to give three things.
If you don't want to build this yourself, you can just grab the system from us.
Because I got my book and I've read it more than once, and I've shared it with a friend so that they would have it. The next I do, they need to watch videos. They need to watch your videos. They need to join the Facebook. And there's a lot of people that join and start asking questions and you can tell they haven't watched the videos. Spend some time watching the videos because you answer most of my questions. Sometimes after I've done it badly, then I find the right video. It's a great, fantastic beginner's resource between just watching your YouTube channel or going into the Facebook group and asking questions. The biggest thing I'll have to say with anybody is quit thinking about it and do it. I see a lot of people, analysis paralysis, get in and we're thinking about it, it's so overwhelming. Do it wrong. Do it bad. But, I've submitted something I know by the time looking back now, I'm like, wow, that was a horrible submission. I mean, the only thing that, if I were the person on the other end, the only thing that would matter that I thought was well done was price. I was like, I focused too much on myself. I focused too much on being service disabled veteran. I focused on the wrong things instead of going on the 5 things that they're grading the proposal. Instead of proposing the time, the effort, or the things, what the benefits to them were, I proposed how great I was. And like I said, it was a learning curve for me because I did it in such a way, but it still worked. Now when I look back, I'm like, at least I got that mistake. And the bigger pieces, there's no penalty for doing it wrong or badly. If you get in a hurry to get your first submission in, all you got is experience. They don't call you and say, "Are you an idiot?" There's nothing wrong. Off the board. At least one of mine, they should have. They were like, "Are you sure you submitted to the right solicitation?"
New models come out all the time.
There's no penalty. You don't get. They don't knock you off to the next business because you look silly this time around. Now, for example, doing it right the first time is obviously going to be much better.
1.2 just
but I would tell everybody, start. Pick any solicitation. If it's something you know, pick something from your background. Pick something you have an interest in. Especially if it's something you can do on your own with just finding parts in place. The hardest part for me, I think, echoes a lot of other people, just finding subcontractors. If there's other work that needs to be done that I can't do myself, it's a lot of effort. And some of the subcontractors are like, "Listen, you're the 20th person to call me on this." And I'm like, "Well, good. You should have that price ready for me." You know?
Cron job, which
and some of them think that's funny, and some of them don't think that's funny at all.
You can see, for example,
you got to get over fear. You got to be willing to call people, ask questions. You can do a lot of this in email, but email is not the best way to make your life.
Other people say, well, you know, agents can't be
follow up with an email. I may send an email first saying I'm going to call. I may ask for some pricing if it's a parts place. Ask for some pricing, and then get them to call me so we can talk.
Not sure about. You can always.
The number one thing for somebody is a solicitation of any kind, and say, "I'm going to write a proposal for this." And if the first one you're afraid to submit it, great, don't submit it, but write the proposal. Take the whole thing, tear it apart like you're going to do it, write it,
if you want to
and
get
ask
this
somebody
full
else to take
system, I mean, you could wire it yourself,
and I would still submit
the whole thing inside.
I had a second win, but that was through a state
contract.
Hermes
installs some
and that state contract is for trapping wild pigs.
Just grab this from us, right? So
okay.
If you go to the
wait a minute.
you can go to
I'm
go to new
processing the haunted hospital.
Also, a lot of people say like maybe this
the
should
training,
doesn't this use
the
up
ranch
like a lot
with
of tokens?
the landing
so
pad
and
takeoff.
Models, like for example,
Okay, so we got some
really
pigs, hogs. Where is this Texas?
This is in Texas. Also, the state of Texas has a ton of feral hogs. It's a really bad problem.
We have
as a lot of the southern states experience.
Local AIs built
and so a state-run hospital that's on a 600-acre campus out in East Texas is having problems with hogs tearing up the land because they will clear out and tear up the yard, the lawn, gardens, everything, and they can do 20 acres at night. And so they proposed. Now, this happens to be an area I know a little something about, but only because of government engineering. When I first started in February, I started my company, and I started looking at federal, state, and then my local cities. One of my local.
Well, I normally listen. I know people are gonna be like, "What, Kizzy? What are you doing?"
Hide it whenever you want to. So if you don't use,
you started in February of this year.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. So February of this year.
February 7th, I started my company.
Unless this.
So hopefully inside the airport border, that is
yeah, it's 60 days, 60, 75 days, something like that. Later, I got my service disabled veteran certification. So I got my certification from the state of Texas and service disabled from the state of Texas. And at the end of June, I found out I had won my first
learnings.
Okay, I couldn't hold back. I know. Keep going. I just said, wait. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, this year. Okay, go ahead.
And then
you know about this because of your background. Okay.
Well, and his background from starting this. In February or March, one of my local cities posted a bid for trapping. I don't know. And I was sitting with a friend, and we were talking about bids, and I'm trying to get him to start doing this with me because he already owns a successful company doing roofing and construction type stuff. And we're bidding through that, and he saw the bid for trapping pigs. He said, "We should do that."
All right.
I was like, okay. When I was a kid, sure, but now he's like, no. He goes, me and my brother have done this for 20 years on the side, and we talked through it.
How we do
and okay, from the start, we're gonna put out a bid to trap pigs for one of my local cities. It was pigs and beavers. And what's funny is I asked some questions back to the city that caused them to pull that solicitation because they had been trapping pigs for years. And so there was an incumbent there, but they had never done the beavers part now, and we got a lake, so the beavers in the creeks and streams are damming things up in Cozumel. And they wanted you to live capture every beaver and remove them to someplace else. Unfortunately, most beaver trapping results in a beaver that gets drowned underwater. So it's terrible. But I responded back to them and said, I don't think what you're asking is feasible. I'll bid it for what you want, but I don't know that that's how it's going to work out. Just the way nature works. And they were like, oh gosh, we don't know what to do about that. And they pulled the bid and said, we can't advertise for the process. And so they pulled the bid. But by that time, I'd already spent weeks getting ready to do everything for trapping pigs. I actually own a giant corral that you can put in place with cameras to monitor it, and you drop the gate. I was that prepared. I dove in and said, I'm going to win. And so doing the one in East Texas turned out to be really easy because I'm already ready. But as silly as that sounds,
pragmatic work team
the city of Dallas has a $750,000 contract for trapping pigs.
It's a new horizon in technical
it's a
exam
5-year contract, so the guy's making, I think, $150,000
with elements of gameplay that
the weird
make
part was in his bids, he's had it now for 2 award cycles, going on 10 years. He's $1 million cheaper than the number 2
through the
person.
vast array of certification options and choose the ones
So
that
other
align
companies
with your
bid on it,
career
and they
goals.
bid their normal price. And he's underbidding them significantly, and there's some reasons to that I understand. It doesn't need to be discussed. But I was like, wow. And not long after that, the USDA posted they wanted to buy so many hundreds of pig trapping cages. I mean, and so it kind of dominoes. You find an area that
In our
not a lot of
section,
people
we
do
will
stuff.
cover
and
triggers,
it's something you can
conditional
do.
logic,
You know, the
looping
same.
actions,
There's all kinds of
tools,
animal-related
robotic process
bits and
automation,
I'm
and
good with
some
animals.
administrative work.
I
I'll
can
see
go
you
do
there.
those things. I mean, there are people right now being paid to drop flies in Texas.
And the thing is, this isn't complex, like,
Nope.
we need to rewire this or ship this thing to Cairo and maybe you're a little leery, you know, the viewer, but this is something where there are people and companies who specialize in this that you can easily partner with or subcontract, where we know flies, we know pigs, I know catching of different feral pigs and hogs from Florida. I've seen OTA contracts. There's a lot of opportunities out there, and most people would scoff and not go after it. And these are the ones who do go after. I mean, goodness, to be $1 million lower, they're going to keep going with this person every single time, and then who knows? Maybe that person's bidding on stuff in Arkansas or Nebraska. Who knows?
Power automate
And
beginner.
and so I want a contract there that'll net me about a 50%
I'm
margin.
here to help you.
And with somebody else doing the work. And the one that's local, I can either do. If I bid on the one from the city of Denton, if I were to win that, I could either do it myself, or I can contract it out to somebody else. I have somebody that's already interested in doing it, because that's the other thing I'll tell somebody new is talk about it. Talk about what you want to do. Success breeds success. When you start talking about the business you want to do, you'll find out how many people you know in your tight circle that are doing a side gig that you didn't know.
You'll find us just.
I sit at a little nutrition shop in the mornings, have a protein shake. Being there on my computer doing something, somebody asks, what are you doing? What are you working on? You do this, and you find out a guy that owns a business has 3 side gigs to go with his business because his goal is to retire in 5 years, and he wants to have all those things with somebody else running them. You talk to this guy, and all of a sudden you find out this guy, he used to work in construction, and you've got a subcontractor you didn't know you had because he's like me. I got a corporate job. I'm in a cybersecurity company. And the next guy, he worked for an IT company, but you didn't know he also has a pet.
To follow along, you can go ahead and access
people
those
everywhere
so
looking
that
for
you
something
can make
different
sure
to
you're
do. And
doing
I said that's the other one with newbies. Talking about with family is hard. Family always tries to doubt
that we are live.
But talking about with friends or even strangers is a great way to meet people.
Question that
It
comes
sure
into the
is.
chat here.
Oh
I'll
my
do my
goodness.
very best to
James,
get as
this
many
has
as
been
I
amazing.
can.
This is amazing
But
in that
come on,
I
here and
love the profit margin. I love
So to start off, a little bit of background
to meet people,
information.
and I love the
Again,
mindset
my name is Jonathan
and the
Silva.
manifesting.
Here at
the
Pragmatic
success
Works,
breeds
I'm
success.
on our power platform.
Well, it gets
team,
bigger in a
which
hurry
means
than you
that
can
I
expect.
focus
I'll even share. I don't know when this will get posted. I have a bid I'm working on that's due next month. It's for fitness. It is for the VA. And I responded to their original sources sought 2 or 3 months ago. They wanted something an online platform to provide yoga, tai chi, meditation, self-affirmation, all the mental wellness side most. And I'm becoming a reseller for a company that does that. And I'm becoming a reseller because of that. And they stated it's going to be for their staff and some veterans between $1,000 and $5,000. It's a software license. You got to add a little couple pennies to things when they're talking.
Secondary school teachers,
and that sounded great right up to the moment where they opened the actual solicitation. It's for $265,000.
Some of that experience,
but that has to be provided now.
Courses like this. So
now think what a couple pennies
with
does
my style is
for every software
I really want to
Is that
explain
a
the
month
foundation,
or a
the core concepts.
Well, I mean, it'll be a monthly subscription fee given to them. I think they're asking for it in an annual price.
265,000 users.
265,000 users on
I mean, just time 200. I got it.
What I next want to go through
exactly
is
2
our
times 3
agenda.
cents.
So if we could take a look,
I was doing it by $10, but hold on. I got 260,000 times
these are the
0.03.
different topics that we are going to cover.
And that's exactly my point. Is if I added 3 cents to the company's price, I could make $8,000 a month for doing nothing but sending a brigger.
Right, but even that, 250,000. Okay, let's say you went wild and you added $5 because remember when Netflix went up recently, it wasn't by a penny, it wasn't $1, it was multiple dollars. I'm just saying. Hold on, did I multiply that right?
Yes, you probably did.
And finally,
By $5. So even y'all, $1 is 250,000.
so that you can make sure that
by the way, that would be $1 a month.
I know.
You are working with
I know.
best
That's what I'm
practices,
getting at,
setting
and I want
yourself
everyone
up
to
and
be
your team
aware
up
of
for
that.
success
It is that simple.
So
It's
as we go
doing the
through,
work
what
of
we're gonna
reaching
focus on,
out.
of
It's
course,
not
here today
you
is
rebuilding.
Power
It's
Automate.
you
But
reaching
it's
out
also
because
worth
there are
noting
tons of
where
platforms.
Power Automate
And I
lives
know of a
and
gentleman who has a
how it's used.
Spanish-speaking channel,
Power Automate
and
is one of the
he
5
basically
standalone
resells
applications.
these similar platforms, and he
Microsoft.
got
The
permission,
Power
and
Platform
apparently
is
they
this
have a Spanish-speaking version of whatever it is that
to help
he's
us as
reselling.
business users
But
go
it's
ahead
as
and
simple as
accomplish
that.
whatever tasks we have
Pretty much
with the data that
everything
we
out
are
there is a
with.
resell.
And
Yes.
it
You got
provides us a
Apple
single
reseller,
place to
Apple
do all of
approved
that work.
vendor to
So we
fix your
have the
stuff.
collection
You know,
of
you
Power
have
BI,
resellers
Power
all of the
Apps,
time.
Copilot
Come
Studio,
buy
Power
my
Pages,
thing.
and
Oh,
of
I have a
course,
connection to
Power
this and
Automate
this and this.
together
It's
so
basically
it
like
makes
you
whatever
are
we're
an
trying to do
approved
just a
reseller.
lot easier.
Isn't that
And I love
Walmart?
this
All of the
graphic I put
products
together
there,
because
that
it
means
shows that Power
they've been
Automate
approved
is
to
at the
sell them.
core
Walmart's
of
approved to
our platform
offer
because
them.
we can connect
I will tell you, it was the thing my wife
services and
the
help
hardest.
us
My wife's a
automate
nurse, so she's got
processes
her career and
that
mindset are
come
completely different. She's like, you're crazy. But she's like, what do you
Now,
mean
for
they're going
us
to buy
here
from you? Why would
with
they buy
Power Automate,
the cooling
we're gonna
tower
focus
parts?
on Power
Why do they buy
Automate
AC
in
stuff
the
from you?
cloud today.
And because she didn't
That
understand
is us
procurement.
going to
And-
make
But I'm like, you don't understand. I mean, I bid on providing Garmin watches. To the government. I'm a Garmin user. I'm a runner and I do races and stuff, so I understand that. I know what it costs. And they want them for pilots. And so when they buy them 30 and 40 at a time. Okay. Why shouldn't they buy those from me? They can't buy them from Garmin Direct. Why shouldn't they buy those from me? It's kind of
I mean, just the margin of $7,900
service that we have on our machine. We download this desktop.
I mean, that alone. I mean, literally, even if you added $1, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. It's fine. I mean, because it could be. I'm just going back to this one. This one is so magical because there's so many ways you could slice it. Depending, you know, you could take this and tell them, hey, if you do annual, it's this amount, which may even give you a bigger profit depending on your relationship with them. So I want people to understand that it's more than just these are the 3 steps. There's also creativity you can add in to increase your profit, increase your margin, to go after this. Because when it comes to state, local, and federal, yeah, there may be times that legally they might be able to go to the person, but chances are 95% of the times they can't. And that's where we come in, because we make it easy, and you have these organizations that are over here working on all these other things and may not want to be bothered. So I love this. We're going to do a part 2 because I got to find out. I got to find out about this. My mind is blown.
well, and here's the even better part of that. Is when that one released, again, for 1,000, the source is soft, for 1,000 to 5,000 people. There's a second VA office asking for 1,000 to 5,000 people for an online fitness platform, but they want the exercise side, the physical side versus the mental side. And so, you know, my goal is, I want that one too. But I've also decided, hey, I'm going full on. I'm going to market to the VA. And so I've been working, you know, again, taking a lot of your advice of building the relationships. Is I'm reaching out. I'm doing every VA event that they do, every SBA event that's got anything close to the veterans. to talk to and listen to their contracting officers and get my name in front of them. I respond to every source of SOC. I went out to the same place I sold the cooling parts. I went out because they were doing a tree services bid because they got hit, not really by a tornado, but they got hit by high winds from a nearby tornado. And so they had like 100 trees down on a 60-acre campus, and there's broken branches and all the trees that are I've never worked on that kind of scale of trees, but I decided I'll go out. I went there and there were 12 companies that were tree companies. And so I was like, all I can do is bid and then contact one of them. But I got to talk to 3 different people that are permanent on that site to deal with their contract. We did a walk around of the whole campus with one of the guys, and he was talking to all of us about what we do, this and that. And I told him who I was, and I had one ask him if so-and-so was there, and he's like, oh, he's not here today. He's so mad he missed you. Blah, 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 blah. And so I know by the end of the day, he'd already got to tell a guy, hey, I met the guy that's taking care of it. He was here. I'm a fan of doing site visits. Here today together. Even if it's a site visit that I'm not necessarily going to bid on, I'm still going to do it. Like I said, I'm still going to go out and make the relationship. I'll meet the subcontractors, so maybe I'll use them on something else.
Okay, I like that. I love, oh my goodness, we're definitely doing a part 2. I love all of this because what a savvy approach. When you go to the site visit, you're then able to meet with the people and connect with the government, even if you don't want to bid on it, which is great because you never know what else they want. Then you have a list of subs, which is beautiful to have these lists of subs. I love that. I love this. And then also, you know, an added bonus, y'all can always ask for the list of attendees.
Well, all of the bids they put out an addendum of who showed up to a site visit, and they print it out and they give it to you. And I'm like, I just added 8 people to my sub list.
So it's great to get those lists, ask them for the list, state, local, do all of that because you never know. Or it may be canceled. Maybe they canceled it because they didn't have the funding at that point in time, and then they're not going to rebid it for a year. And most people are going to move on. They're not going to go back a year and think about that site visit. They moved on. So this is phenomenal. This is
and it makes a difference. And I'm a big fan of the source of SOC. We're getting a name out there. I had one in the last week. I think I posted on the Facebook group. Somebody reached out to me and said, "Why didn't you bid on this? We saw you on the source of SOC, and the actual bid came out, and I had to be honest with them. I didn't meet all the requirements you had, and it was a diehard requirement. It was for drones, and it was you had to have all your pilots had to have so many hours of flying on this type of drone on the day you submitted your bid." And I responded back to them. I said, because they reached out to me via email, said, "Why didn't you bid?" And I responded back. I said, I had to. I couldn't, without lying to you, I couldn't submit a bid in good faith. I can meet all of the here's the requirements that held me up. I said, I could meet that by your September start time, but I couldn't meet it by your July deadline. I said, just, we don't have time to get all the pilots, all the hours they need on those drones, because that's not what we're flying now. I happen to be a drone pilot as well. And then you can run the flow from there. And so I went and got licensed because of it. Runs. All in. Finally, the third type of flow I had done that source of SOC 2 months ago, and they reached out to me 2 weeks ago and said, "Why didn't you?" That schedule is something that we set as the
this is very common. It is common because then they're asked, why didn't any small businesses bid, or why didn't small businesses bid? So then they're like, I don't know. They submitted a source of SOC. So it's great that you brought that up because it is the case. Like I can see the pros and cons of why they made the decision that they did, but that's great because I'm very well aware of the different nuances that go into being able to operate drones. So that's great. But then who knows? Maybe it means a requirement. Maybe they don't.
I'm hoping they didn't get anybody. The next stage. I'm hoping it's going to get reposted because by then my guys will be ready. And it's a 5-year bid for the Department of the Interior. I mean, it's a 5-year contract. People flying every week.
Yeah, I mean, in the USDA at one point they were a big procurer of drones.
And everybody is right now. The drones are so difficult to get into. Drone manufacturers can't keep up with the demand from the government now, much less private citizens. I've seen multiple bid or solicitations out recently that are asking for thousands of drones. And a lot of the drone manufacturers, especially the American-made drone manufacturers, they're bidding direct. If it doesn't have a set aside, they're bidding direct.
See what someone else did.
I mean, you can't blame it.
Absolutely, it's business. But if we get one that's going to be from an organization that decides that it has to be a set aside so they can meet some goals, hey, we're all going to get a shot at that.
And we can sort of through our templates by the category.
I'm loving this. James, how can people reach out to you? I'm just blown away by the diversity of what you're going after, and I hope the rest of you are as inspired and revved up as I am.
People can reach me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn. And my user symbol for something is either JWalk2515, which is my military MOS, or just James Walk, WALK. LinkedIn, it'll show my company name. Most recent company is Blue Falcon Services. That's my DBA, because I'm not even an LLC government. I'm a DBA. I went quick and fast. That's right. I went quick and fast, and they accepted me, no problem.
There we go.
Just like you would do.
And you're in the free Facebook group, and I'll make sure that we have the link down for that. So check that out. And so everywhere you see James Walk, you're going to find James. Please reach out. Please keep us posted, not only in the Facebook group. Please promise to come back for a second interview.
You'll see that
anytime you want. I've gotten so much from you and the group that I fully intend to give back as long as I'm doing this.
Oh, well, I'm blown away. Like I said, I'm so appreciative of you, to you, for this beautiful interview, and for everyone here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification button, keep coming back. Remember, everything is possible. Until next time.
I'm partnering with Intuit QuickBooks to set up small business owners with better informed decisions. How healthy is your business financially? Healthy like a horse. Inside
so what we're going to do here today is we're going to explore how to automate templates and describe it to design it so that you have a nice...
But anyway, it was just weird how things played out and how it could have been a missed opportunity.
Then from there, what you'll notice is
I walked away with close to a 20K profit.
Which is amazing.
But yeah, so that was the completion of my second contract. I have 5 total though, so 3 are still active. The next win was a loading gate repair, and it was just one day repair, but it took like a month and a half to find the supplies for the repair, and that one was a lot more straightforward. It was just one subcontractor involved. You know, you don't expect much in terms of success in your first year, and I started my pursuit in October. You know, it's not even busy season, so I wasn't expecting much this early, and you know, it's fully supporting me financially, which means you will not think that would come from even early success. Like, you gotta pay your dues, or you know, compromise until you get some good, you know, traction going or whatever. But my margins are double, if not more, on some than I was doing in my earlier work.
How did you get started in
controls and other features?
So I guess it transpired over a long period of time. Just someone planted the seed some years ago, and in the middle of growing an existing business, I didn't feel that I could take on anymore because it felt like an entirely different business that I just couldn't afford to pursue at the time. And I'm somewhat grateful that it didn't been in that timing, because I gained access to, you know, information and time that I didn't have before, and I don't know that I would have built what I have now the way that I would have been, and I probably would have tried it and failed and just walked away from it entirely. So being that I did it the right way this time and I've had some early success, I'm 100% committed, and I've dropped my previous business because I invested so much in things that aren't even required for government contracting. For instance, like marketing and advertising and freaking payroll. Like everything that killed my previous business is non-existent in this business. So that's why it's like I'm really drawn to it.
Oh, I love that. I love your honesty, because I know
we
people
can evaluate something that's based upon that evaluation.
People love to give advice that don't have any experience. It's almost like the broke relative analogy. So what were some of those things, Ebony, that they were like, this is what you should do, or you were like, okay, this is what I should do, that didn't yield what you were looking for? What are some things that you did that you spent money on that didn't yield what you were hoping?
All of that building into
my previous business. So marketing, I spent a lot of time and money. I even put a team together had them dedicate much of their time to marketing. And I believe over a year and a half of pursuing marketing, we've turned around one client. Now, one client. And I know it takes time, but I thought that wasn't realistic. Had I known that was the time commitment and the financial commitment up front, I don't know that I would have been willing to do that, especially with the results that came with it. And as a small business, it's like you can only afford to go so far. And I know a year and a half is probably not that long for big businesses that have large budgets. And I have no name, I didn't have branding or anything. So that's really not asking a lot. I don't think one client in 18 months, but I just couldn't sustain it. But after a while, I was like, well, I've already spent this much money. Let me keep pushing, because my original goal was at least 1 year have enough traction in marketing to make sense to keep moving forward and investing in that. But I pushed it another 6 months, which I should not have. But I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have, anyone prior to me that had success as a small business. So I was just winging it, and I was already very busy in my business. So it wasn't that I was able to dedicate the proper time to nurture that. So I tried to bring people on my team that at least had close to the same interests that I did in growing the business, and that was also a fail, not being able to spend as much time as they were on that side of things. I was just torn in too many different directions.
In your apps at Microsoft 365, if you just scroll down a little bit,
okay, you talked about you took some time to then go into government, but
it's right here.
What was that one thing where you're like, okay, I'm over it.
So that's what I'm going to click on, and that
I reached near exhaustion. I knew that my day was coming, and I kind of anticipated that I would have a solid 6 months or a year left in me to keep doing what I was doing, especially bleeding so heavily on the financial end of things. I knew that I can only support myself for so long, and in order for me to make a smooth transition, I needed to at least start pursuing something else before that day came. So I was actually, it's a crazy roundabout way I got into government contracting this time around. I was looking to do podcasting, and through a series of pursuits in that space, I learned about school, I learned about Telegram, and then just doing so I just doing random searches on those platforms. I ran into some more information about federal government contractors, because my background, I'm a general contractor, and so I focus in new construction. And so I was just surfing general contracting and came across federal government contracting, and the seed was planted some time ago, so it piqued my interest. I just saved the information to just be notified as things were shared over time, and eventually I would pursue it maybe, but at least I wanted to have it readily available to me, or at least in my daily feed, to try to interact where I could without having to make much effort. So I was trying to do podcasting to train women on how to become general contractors, because of my experience getting into the space, and I just didn't want others to experience what I did. Some good, some bad, but it could be challenging, and the information isn't readily available. So anyway, through those platforms I ran into it again, and then it's made sense to not pursue podcasting because it wasn't what I thought, or at least the timing just isn't right for me right now. And then I started to shift towards digging more deeply into federal government contracting.
Now for me,
and then
what I want to do
did you immediately say, I'm going to do
today,
or go after contracts that are exactly like what I know? Did you go after construction or painting or roofing, HVAC? Like what kind of contracts were you like, okay, I'm going to pursue?
Well, I didn't want to limit myself, so I did keep it general on the construction side. Okay. It could be construction materials, it could be construction service. So, you know, so I kept it pretty wide open.
These templates are
only because I didn't know enough to determine whether narrowing my interest early on made sense. So I just kept it broad, and I thought construction was as narrow as I needed to be. Because when I was, you know, looking, at least when I got to the point where I was looking on you know, it was all over the place. And once I narrowed my search down to so many filters, there were only so many left. So location was a filter, you know, the type of work was a filter, and then I kept shying away from things that I didn't have experience with. But I was limited. There was only so much left. So I started to widen it. And I can't say that I only stuck with construction, because when you're on SAM.gov, it's like you're seeing a million different opportunities, and it's like, oh, maybe I can do that, maybe I can do that. But then I started to not, like, there was no productivity in that. It was just a whole lot of, oh, that's exciting. No, that's exciting too. Then I got nothing done. So I ended up just deciding to stick with what I know, and if I want to add later, I can. But construction was at least something I was comfortable enough with going past that surface level information.
One of the cool things about templates that we have is that you can see exactly
and have more confidence in pursuing those type of opportunities.
Those templates with the little icon.
And then,
in this case,
how did you
get
to the point you're like, okay, I'm comfortable looking at
Microsoft Teams?
Because it can come across like a foreign language. There's a lot there with SAM.gov or other platforms.
Have different.
How did you just say, all right, I'm going to figure this out? Like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to look at these, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to make this work.
Well, you know, being on your platform and being on some of the others that I found on school, I learned that what was most critical at that early stage were, you know, the scope of work, the evaluation criteria, and just focusing on those details to at least determine whether it's worth continuing. So once I realized that, and I stopped getting intimidated by the amount of information and just focused on that, and then I would create a list of opportunities I wanted to dig deeper with. So I would have like a list of 10, because the other issue for me was, all right, now I'm interested, what do I do next? I didn't, to me that was also overwhelming. So I figured, let me just shortlist the most interesting of 10 or 15 or so, and then figure out my next step. So I, you know, on SAM.gov, I would look a month out, create a short list, and also use AI. You know, so once I knew what was most critical, those particular sections, I would read through them, but then I would, you know, ask AI for some tips on how do I, are there anything, is there anything in here that I might be missing as, you know, a novice? Is there, you know, any criteria that may apply that I should be aware of? You know, one of the things that kept coming up was, you know, bonding capacity, and I never needed a bond working, because I was residential. I didn't do any commercial until my last year doing client work. So my last year, I didn't need a bond in that space either. So,
let's see, I'm going to find one here.
You know, learning about bonding and then trying to get, you know, an application and approval for bonding. Once I learned what my bonding capacity was, then I also, that's how I also narrowed down what opportunities I can pursue, because it limited like my range on location.
When you go to select the template, okay, this is the big part that I want to make sure you see, is when you do it,
so basically learn and apply adjusting and using the information to then shortlist, decide which ones you're going to go after, hone in on the ones that you know that you can do, so you're setting yourself up for success.
This is important because you'll see here, if
So I want to dig a little deeper into the bonding thing, because we've had coaching students where they get bonding, don't need bonding, all of that. How were you able to ensure that they didn't really require bonding? Because there's been those times where they say, we don't want bonding, and then as the person gets closer, it's like, surprise, surprise, we want bonding. Like, how did you navigate that?
That's actually what happened on my first award.
Using templates, you will need to make sure
there was no requirement for a bond when I submitted my quote, and later they added it.
This is a great way of viewing flows and working with flows and just seeing what's built. However,
I just, rely on the documents. If they require it, I just move on. But if they don't, because it shows in the solicitation documents whether it's required, but obviously they also have the right to add it later, like you said. But then through AI, I learned what those dollar amounts are, like if it's over 150 or if it's over 35 or so, then there's that possibility. But under 35, it's, a stronger likelihood that it won't come up. So I figured I'll deal with that when it comes. So I didn't limit myself within that 35 to 150. My limitation was still what my bonding capacity was. And then if they added it later, then I'll have to bow out. If they add it later, I didn't bid based on that. So I still have the opportunity to decline the award.
Which is even better than a template.
And this is some information came from AI, so I asked AI to dig into whether a bond is required, what's the likelihood of it being required later, what are the conditions that normally require bond, is it service, because in that conversation around service versus, goods, there's a distinction there. So, goods doesn't require the bonding. So I started to add more of those to my list too, just so if it came up, at least all of my previous submissions aren't screwed. I just want to pass them variety.
Right, you didn't have to worry about the surprise. They weren't bonding despite the research, despite the AI. And so what was this your first win? What was your first federal government win? Was it the one we're talking about or something?
Yeah, my first win was them adding the bond after the fact. And it was, I think it was actually set up as
to be more specific. You can even see here some suggested flow options here.
I don't even think it was set up as a service contract. Well, the reason they added it later is because a small portion of the contract was service-based, and they said that that was something they didn't account for in the solicitation. So even though that service portion was less than 10,000, they still decided to add it. And I wanted to challenge it. I'm like, well, it wasn't, in the solicitation, it's under that threshold where it's up to you to decide. But it was my first contract, so I don't know if once they selected me, if that gave them some pause, and that's why they wanted to add more protection by adding the bond. Who knows? There could be other reasons too that we don't have to discuss. But to me, I was thinking it had more to do with what they were afraid of. And anyway, I got in my feelings about it because it was my first win. It was under the threshold. Why are they making it challenging for me? Mainly because
if that is the case, if that's exactly what I want,
it wasn't a simple process to even get the bond.
Next,
because it was a mobile
just by selecting project. Next, it doesn't create everything yet. What it does,
that makes it even more complicated because a lot of my bonding company wouldn't even bond me, even though they gave it fell within the numbers, but within the location. It was just a payment bond. It wasn't a performance bond. They still denied me because of the mobile mediation is high risk.
If you would like to use the same form,
I had to figure that out, and it actually took a month.
If you take a look,
it delayed the whole project a month of me trying to sort through this bonding requirement. So I didn't end up getting a traditional bond. I was able to ask for a tripartite escrow agreement.
It's a form that I'm going to use. If you would like to use the exact same one, all you need to do is
and that happens. The one thing about business is We're building the plane when we're in the air. I mean, it's a big piece and part of business. So, you know, I commend you for going forward with it.
And I'll just simply
That's what's amazing.
And go directly.
Is you get it, you wanted the win, you get it. It may not be exactly how it's expected to be. And there's always going to be unknowns.
If you want to use
there's going to be unknowns, whether they share why or how, who knows, but there's always something. I promise you. After being in this space since 07, there's always something that comes up.
You can go ahead and
But to me, it's what makes it a little spicy. So then you get through this one, Ebony, and was this with Department of Defense, Department of War, Federal?
I'll do the same thing. I'll go ahead and do
kind of who was this win with?
You know, it'll create
Human and Health
inside of Microsoft
so we
Forms.
got that win,
and you'll see
and then
that
you're
it's
like,
gonna
okay,
the same name.
I'm going to keep going forward. So what was the next
right there,
one?
You can rename it for yourself if you like. Okay. Now the form
just to add to that other point, though, about the body,
my forms.
in hindsight, I was somewhat grateful that there were challenges on that first one.
I'm going to be using for us today.
Had I been, 100 contracts in,
come fill this out.
Maybe if I hadn't been aware of tripartite, I would have been like, oh, I got 10 others.
Go ahead and fill out this form.
Take your 30,000, you know. But having to fight for it this early on, I think is the skill set or experience I need to be better later. So I am grateful for it. It worked out, so I can't be mad about it. But what was your question? Before that?
What was the next one? Because you persevered through. Because some people,
I'm actually going to use this. So
it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right here.
Take things that happen in life as a signal not to do it.
We can go back to
I can't find parking. I can't go there.
And actually,
I can't eat out and diet. I'm gonna get the bloomin' onion. You know, and speaking from experiences, once being almost 300 pounds. So you know, it's just like it's easy to take certain situations and say, "Yup, I'm out. I tried it. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it." You know, but you didn't do that. You went on and won more.
Yeah, and that was the other point I made about it not being the right timing some years ago.
It's really a great feature to give us
also
steps,
something that I
triggers,
would not have done if I were trying to multitask with other business pursuits. You know, if that were my first government contract, and I'm also still trying to build a custom home building business, I may have been like, oh,
what's the subject? What's the body?
Federal government contracting. So having fully committed to this space, I was dedicated to figuring it out. You know, so but my next win, and I can't lie, like during that period, I did shy away from mold remediation projects just in that short period because I'm like, I don't know that I'll figure it out yet. So let me start, leaning more towards things that are less complicated. But I've since changed. I still do remote remediation project pursuits. But the next win was a loading gate repair. It was a very easy project, and it was just one day repair, but it took like a month and a half to find the supplies for the repair. And that one was a lot more straightforward. It was just one subcontractor involved. I was able to use a reputable company that I was familiar with in Florida, and this was in Colorado for the VA. And I had a fair amount of,
this is where
the pop was fair in terms of finding the material, which was the most challenging part. But we did service it the day before the end of the pop, and that was also something I wasn't aware of. I didn't realize I had the option to extend that. I'm thinking if I did extend it, because I started to learn that later, the closer I got to the pop, end of the pop, I was wondering, does that negatively impact me down the line if I even ask for the extension? So I didn't end up asking for it, and luckily we did make the repair on the 28th, and it was ended on the 29th. But the challenge is they only allow for work on Saturdays. So if we didn't finish it on the 28th, we couldn't turn right back around on the 29th and continue. We would have have to
address.
wait an additional week. And I believe that next week would have been
Now that we have
Easter.
that done,
So
what
I
we
don't,
can do is
it
just
would
go
have
here
had
and
a big
edit
impact. And that's
the other
something
things we have
not
in our
knowing
flow. So I've
or not
selected
having
my
the
trigger.
information ahead of time
Now,
could
I'm
have
gonna
put me
click
at risk.
on my first action,
But
get
I'm willing to
response
move
details.
with some risk
Now,
involved.
this
There's no
is
way
something
to not
you
have risk as a new person.
absolutely
You know,
need to have
being new to this
every
business.
single time you're working
But I'm
with Microsoft
trying
Forms.
to dig
Microsoft Forms and
into,
Power
like,
Automate. There are only
or
two
find people
different
like you or
options for us when working
platforms
with Power
like
Automate.
you have
One is the
to
trigger,
just
when a
stay
new response
aware
is
of what
submitted,
others are
and
going
the other
through.
is a single action.
Because,
Get the
you know, being that I'm
details.
pursuing
They
all kinds of
always go
service-based
together, always
contracts,
and forever.
there are things that
Must
I'll
have
go
them
through in one
that
contract
sequence
that I'll
every
never
single time
see
you're
in
working with
another.
a new
So
form
just
to work with
learning through
Power
everybody
Automate, so you
else's
can get
experiences
access
is like
to
I could
answers to the
maybe take
questions
some of that
from the
on
form.
to my next,
So now
possibly.
we'll go
And,
ahead
you know,
and here.
the thing about government
point to the
contracting
same
that
form we
a
did
lot of
at
people
the
don't
top.
share, and I suspect they
trigger,
don't
so
share it
there's
because
our
they don't
copy.
have
This
contracts.
is the drop down.
And that is, you can ask for
Send
anything you
form
want.
ID.
You
And
can
then
have
what you'll see here is the
conversations because they're
response
people.
ID
But I
for
get
me
it,
has
right?
already
They
been
have this
built in.
pop. They have the period of
Copilot is trying
performance.
to help
And
me
it's like, oh my gosh, we
go ahead
have
and
to
build
meet
out
it
this flow
because we
as
get it
much
all
as
the
possible
time,
without
regardless
all the
if
very
it's
specific
defense, if
details.
it's
So anything
training,
that's
it's AI. It doesn't
broad
matter
that
what the
knows that this is what
deliverable
needs to be
is,
generally put in
right?
here,
They're like, this is when we want
to
it.
do it for us.
But
You
just
can
like
see
us
here,
with
we have
Amazon,
the
oh, your delivery's going to be
response
delayed.
ID added in.
And
If
we
I
can
click
have those
in this area for response
conversations. And
ID,
so what's
this
cool is
green
often they're
box
like,
that you
oh,
see from
okay,
me, that was
we
added
can
in
push it
automatically.
back. Or they may
This is
say,
something
you
that
know,
was added
due
called
to
our
family
dynamic
day, due to the weather, due to
Dynamic
whatever.
content,
Family day, a
what
lot
it
of
does here
military
with
will
our
have family
automate
day
is
or
essentially
whatever.
takes
We may not be able to push
any
it back.
outputs
But what's cool
generated
is
by
you
any
made it
action
work,
and
right?
allows
Because
us
too
to
often
use them
people are like, I
in
can't make it
actions
work,
that
and then
follow.
they just give up.
outputs
But you didn't do that.
turn into
You still
inputs
went forward with it.
so that
Was
we
this an
can use the data
SCBOSE
over
or
and over
how, was it with the
dynamically
VA or
throughout
how
the
was it? Was it a set
flow.
aside?
Not
small
only can
business.
I use my dynamic content in the next
that's,
action,
because I was
also
like,
use it
okay, like that's amazing because you don't really run
actions, just
across
about
that
every
a
other
lot
action
with the
throughout
VA.
the
So
flow
congratulations,
process
that's
as well.
awesome
So that
that
you can
you got
reuse
that
data
win
over and over,
and got in
reevaluate
there,
data,
and that you.
access
Like,
data
I love that
multiple
you
times
brought up
throughout
the
flow
supplies.
to truly make this
You
work in the
brought
best
up
case
all
for
of
you
these
each time.
pieces and
So in
parts
this case, the
because
dynamic
again, I
content
want
that's been added
everyone to
in is
know
the
like this
outputs
isn't unique to
from when
just
the response is
construction.
submitted, the ID of
You know,
the form.
it's like
I
on the
can
training
access
side,
dynamic content
when
to see
fuel is
all
up,
whatever gets
airplane
generated,
tickets
all
cost
the
money.
outputs.
If there's an
by
event,
clicking
you may
on
not
the
find a
little
hotel,
lightning bolt
right? You know,
right
it's like
there.
there's so
That
many
lightning
like
bolt
like
will let
I
me
love
know
that you're
there is
not risk,
dynamic
you're like
content
embracing
available to
risk,
add
right?
into
There's
this
all of
field,
these
add
risks,
into this
there's all
area,
of these
so
unknowns
that
that
I
are
can just
constantly
click
happening.
on
Oh, I love this.
and this
So
little
you
pop-out
finish
will
it,
give
they're
you
happy, they're like,
all
you
of the
did it, you
outputs,
got it done on
and
a
I can add it.
Saturday. And then what
That's
happened
pretty simple. I like the
after
simplicity of that one, so that makes
Well,
it easy.
so that was
That
just
used with get
this
response
past
details.
weekend.
Perfect. That's exactly what
Yeah.
we want.
So
we had that
I'm
in automatically
waiting
us.
for invoice.
Let's
I
move on to the
actually
next
just
one.
submitted the invoice
Now what we can do
for that.
is
So we'll
click
see
into our send
if
an email
I
step.
offered a
Now this
pretty
send an email
decent
step.
discount of
What this is going to do is going to
for
send an
payment.
email
So
from
we'll see if they
whichever
entertain
account
that.
is logged
But yeah, so that was
It's going to
completion of my
use your
second
Office
contract.
365
I
Outlook connection,
have 5
just
total
like you
though.
have on your desktop app
So
or in the
3
cloud,
are still
and
active.
send an email from you.
awesome. And I want to go back because
So you can go ahead
Again,
and send an
there's-
email personalized
we all
from
want to
you
know how to get
as the creator of this flow. And yes,
Yeah.
if you
and
wanted
then often
to go ahead and send it
people
on
can't
behalf
tell
of
you
someone else
because
or
they ain't
send
never
as
had a
another
contract.
person,
So-
you can
So how are they
absolutely
going to
do
tell
There's
you
a
that
little
they
bit of
use
administrative things that
IPP
you
or
need to go
Pi?
into
Can
to
you
do
go
that, but you can
into the
absolutely
system
do
that the
In fact,
VA uses?
Devin Knight has
Because
a
I know
video
they were
exactly
using
how
a
to do
different
that
system
on
at
our
one point in
YouTube
time. So if
channel
you could
right
talk
now.
about the system
Check
that
that out. Go to YouTube,
Yeah, so
and you'll be able to see
I
exactly
actually actually just submitted my invoice right before this call. We'll see if I did it right. But it was a little bit complicated, and the contracting officer was on top of it. Like, start your registration on the system immediately. Even though I had like 2 months or so for my pop. But I'm glad he insisted, and that just might be customary. Like maybe they always do that. But it was a 3-part process, and I can't even explain it back back to you, but it was confusing. It was like jump on this system and then wait a week or so before you to finish on the next system. And then once that system gets your initial registration, then you can come back and finish it. And then it's like, I did something on the first system, but it didn't process, and I didn't know that it wasn't processing. So I thought I was done, you know, so it was weeks in between that nothing was happening because I didn't realize it was this 3-part process. But I believe I was on your platform and somebody had mentioned, oh, I just called this service and they just did it for me or walked me through it and it was easy. And I was like, you know what, why don't I call customer service? I don't know why that's not natural.
Because this is the only action.
I'm going through their videos and reading their documentation, and I never think to call. So I called and it was done, you know, and they were even able to explain to me all the next steps that I wasn't aware of, you know, once I finished that full first process. So anyway, Tunkinson, I believe is what the invoicing system is, but there are several other systems you have to register with to even get to that point where you're able to submit invoices. So again, like I don't know how long it'll take for them to process it. They have the 30 days. I believe it was, you know, for advance payment. I want to say I don't know if the discount was required, but I did put a discount of 0.5% for potential early payment before, I believe it was 10 days or 11 days for that advance payment option. So my first award though, that was IPP, and I submitted my first invoice and it paid in 7 days. There was no pushback. There was no issue with the way I submitted it. You know, there was a million different things that I had to enter, so I wasn't sure if I made, you know, some error somewhere. But that one was easy. I had to upload my own invoice in addition to putting the details in their system. But the first one paid in 7 days. I want to say that one had a 14-day payment on it to start with, and then the second invoice actually paid in 3 days.
What I can do,
and so I was able to make progress payments on that contract, whereas the VA, it was just a 1-day repair, so I had to wait until the full completion. But thinking back, I may have been able to do a material, I don't know, because it hadn't delivered on site, even though we had placed the order, but it was broken down into 2 items where it was like materials and service. So I wonder if I was able to submit 2 invoices on that one. I'm not sure.
So whoever their name is,
you know, the thing is for future contracts is
here are some
we typically address it during the kickoff call with the client. We'll ask,
maybe I'll bullet point the list.
You know, can we invoice XYZ this day? So, like for instance, we had a
very similar
Department of Transportation client, and all of a sudden they wanted something that wasn't in the statement of work.
This is our code,
and so I was like, yeah, they can have it, but then they have to process our invoice in a day.
Some HTML,
and they did
as necessary for your
because
email.
it's like I'm not because I understand the difficulty to mod a contract, to add money to a contract, but what can you do that doesn't cost them anything? You can speed up my pay. You can pay me early.
Fantastic.
And we have had agencies do that. So it's something that just ask in the future, like, can I provide an invoice for materials and whether you discount it or not? Because ultimately it's up to them. But the fact that you're in the systems is amazing, because with IPP, before you could just register, then they changed that, and you can only get into IPP when you get a contract that requires the utilization of it.
Description.
Yeah.
I
love that. So then talk to us about what has been like your biggest lesson as you're going forward with the other 3 contracts.
And now I can say,
make sure I always reserve time to submit new bids or
get back
quotes
to you.
because I don't want to get so busy on one that my pipeline
Right?
doesn't
Something to let
support
the user know we
me
received
once
it.
that one
Here's your what you chose.
so I
as a
still
receipt.
try to
We'll
reserve
email here as soon as we can.
time
And if you
early in
have
my
this
day
done,
because I don't even want to risk
you need to do
not being able
is
to put something
finally
in before the end of
save
the day.
it. Up in the
Maybe
top
reserve
right
2
corner,
hours
you can
to
select
start
that save button.
with
Once
new
it
bids.
is saved,
So that's
from this point,
one lesson. The
we
next
always
is,
want to
like you
test
said,
this
ask,
flow before we let it go fully live.
They can
when
say
we hit
no.
save,
That's
it's
and
live.
it's fine if they
Before
do.
we let it
but
go and just let everyone else use it, or just
it's
have it
definitely
work
a no
for
if you
us.
don't ask.
We always want to
So,
test it ourselves, just in
that
case. we make
may
changes,
come
any
with a
tweaks,
little
any
bit of
edits.
experience and confidence,
So, let's go ahead
but
and
also
save
hearing it from someone
and test
that
it
has
up here in the
experience and
top right
confidence.
corner,
It's
right
like,
between
okay,
flow
we'll just
chart
try
and
it,
design.
see how it works
So
for
it needs to be
you.
saved first, and then
And don't
we will
wait to
go
do
ahead
that because
to
you could be
the
leaving money and opportunity on the table.
So
I was surprised with one of
there
my
it is. There's my
active
save. I get
right
my nice
now.
little banner.
They were the
available,
contracting
like,
officer was
save.
actually
I'm
calling
going to click on
to
test. Once I click
share
test,
some kind of like complaints
want to perform
or
the
issues
starting
that
action.
were raised that I needed
Test
to
it in
address.
there.
But in the
Right?
same breath, she was
Perform the starting
offering
action
me
right here and click on test
or
at the bottom.
sharing with me that there's an upcoming opportunity that I should pursue,
And
like a
now
MIXTYPE.
I should see
And
this
I'm
nice
like,
little
how in the
loading
same
spinner
breath
in the middle.
am I dealing with
That means
issues
it's
and you're
waiting
saying,
for
hey,
me to
I think you would be
perform the
great
action.
for
In this case,
this next
to
thing.
make the
I
meeting
could have
request.
counted myself
So I'll
out
come
to
in
actually
here,
not mention
go
that.
to my form now, my other project
Thinking
tab,
that there was
and
nothing there
answer
because
the
something
question.
came up.
And let's
But
see
they
what I
just
get.
they don't have
So
the
I'll
same
put my
view.
name here. I'll just send it for myself.
Starting out,
It's
you
going to
kind of
come
have a
from myself,
negative
which is a little
perspective,
strange. That's okay. I'll send it to
or at
myself
least
here.
you expect people to have a negative perspective when it
And
comes
I'll
to
put
your
details,
performance because it's not perfect.
Want
Even
to
with experience,
discuss
it's not going to always be
a
perfect, and that's fine. It's business. So
hackathon
It's
and Google.
yeah, it's never
And
perfection.
I want to do it on
And for
So
a May
that's
talk,
going to be our topic.
for anyone
There's our
who may be
details.
unfamiliar,
Preferred date.
it's
I want this to be
multiple
done on
word
Monday because
vehicle
I need it done soon.
that they'll use.
But I want to be done
And
Monday.
what's
Let's go
beautiful,
ahead
and I get it because it
hit
seems
submit. And
okay. I'm
how do
getting
I submit
feedback,
this?
but then
My
you're
response is
offering me
submitted.
more work.
I go back to Power
It's like,
Automate.
what?
See how
And
fast that was?
and
Power
I see
Automate
it
is
as like you're
automatically
passing
checking
the
and
test.
waiting for that submission to occur.
So
my Microsoft 365
take we
connectors
orders.
mean it's already there with the single
and we
sign-on.
order it,
I have
and maybe
check,
there's
check,
some
which means
modifications.
my email
we want.
went out.
How do they respond?
So if I go to check my
Do I go
inbox,
back to
which I'll
Amazon
check
and they're
right
like,
now,
we don't know what you're talking
I
about. You
have
got to pay us and you better give me what
this.
you didn't get. No, they're like, go to Whole Foods,
That was
return
sent to
it.
me.
Here's a label,
This is
keep
the
it.
email that
I thought
I
this
just
one thing they were
received
like, we'll pay you
from
$20.
myself,
We'll refund
right?
you
That's from Office
$20 if you
365 Outlook,
keep it.
come
I was
from
like,
myself,
whoa,
and
like for
that's
real.
what
I was like, oh,
received.
I don't want,
Now, I can come in, I can change the
had to,
colors,
but
I can make it
paused, like,
bold, I can
what?
underline,
No,
I can
what
do
am I
some
gonna do with
information
this?
in the email itself. But you can see here,
But I
all
love
of
it.
this
That's why I talk
is
about Amazon all the time. I
dynamic.
love Amazon.
All of these fields are coming
That's what they're doing with
directly
you.
from the form, including
Because
the
if you
email
would have
address,
said,
directly from the form itself. So now, anytime someone submits it,
I'm looking at the
they're gonna
statement
get
of
an email back
work.
from me.
It's not
Again,
in
as I mentioned,
here.
you can go ahead and check out our YouTube channel.
And if
Devin
you
Knight
would have
has a
started doing
great
that,
video on how to send an email
then
on
it's
behalf of someone else.
not shop on Amazon anymore. They said they won't
Some of the
return
great
it.
features here with Office
And then you're on TikTok.
365
Let me
Outlook.
tell
Now,
you,
one thing I
or
do wanna look at
Instagram
is,
or
if you
LinkedIn
take a
or
look at
wherever,
this,
YouTube
right
Shorts.
here, my date.
But you didn't do that.
One little formatting thing
You
that
were like,
kinda gets me
hey,
a little
client
weird is the date
services,
form.
customer service.
That's our year,
And then that's also
month,
why she was
day
like,
format.
it was a she, right?
That comes standard.
That's also why
from
she was like,
forms.
oh, by
Pass
the
through,
way,
Power Automate,
there's this
looking like that.
Maytalk coming
That's
out.
fine, right? That's generally
Because
fine.
that's
the way
what's
it is.
key.
But if I
Is that
chose,
you're
say,
making
May
their
5th,
life
May
easier.
9th, May 11th,
Nobody wants to
and
buy
it
from
wasn't
somebody
past
who
12,
makes you
if
feel
you're
like
outside the US
you
or
are
inside
a
the US,
hassle.
thinking about
You
our
are a
numbers of
pain.
months that
You
could
are
potentially be
a
little
regret.
confusing
Why
for
do we
some
go with
people.
them?
So what I want to do is format
You
the
never
date
want an
a little
agency
bit
to think
differently.
that.
change it up just a little so it makes it a little easier for our user to understand.
So the fact that you're like, okay, you know, I'm assuming just based on your demeanor. And then it's like, oh, by the way, we have this. Why? She basically was tipping her hand to you.
If you want to learn any information
that's what she was doing.
That run,
she basically, this is what she was saying to you. You need to respond. You're going to win a seat. You're easy to work with. We're going to advocate for you. That's what's going to happen, Ebony. So if this requires that you have to get additional bonding, because sometimes with these MATOCs, they'll have different pieces and parts, and I mean, I have no idea what's included on this one. But you may have to explore bonding. But she's basically saying we want more of what you offer. No different than Amazon. They got everything, like videos and food, and you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I might as well like have a little Amazon hat. As much as I've been, for real. I mean, this is like a deep thing for years because they make my life, and that's what you're doing, and you're also doing and getting second work. That's what's key about where you are. You're getting second work as you're working with her. She's already thinking, how can she do work with you? Because people who don't want to give you more work are not like, oh, by the way, they're kind of like, yeah. So when is this done? So when does it come out? When does the MATOC come out?
Not for a month, she said, at least. So
okay.
Because we're going to add it back in.
Do you know, is this a new MATOC? Are there incumbents?
Format it, put it back in.
I don't know. But she said it'll be for a 5-year period.
Wherever I want my date to go.
I'm assuming it's going to be like in the region she covers.
Okay.
She's the contracting officer, so I'd imagine it's her solicitation.
Okay, that is going to be our expression language here with.
She likes you.
Yeah, I was wondering if being that it's such a large project that maybe there are multiple CEOs or a larger team involved that handle it, but if she's the decision maker,
not quite the same as other technologies with Microsoft.
I mean, maybe.
Similar, but not
if I may, I would suggest, I would encourage finding out the ceiling, inquiring into incumbents, asking the questions about bonding, and being, and then this is most important, you be okay with the portion or with the body of work that you're bidding on. Because I have literally seen those things cover everything.
Oh, look at that.
Because it's like usually during construction. And when I say construction, I mean everything that probably,
right here,
you know, I just think of everything with a building, you know, but at the end of the day,
perfect.
There's work for you to win.
Now, what I need to make sure I also do is put in an opening parentheses.
Off of that.
Once I add the opening parentheses, I do get a little bit of a description here.
Because you will win. I already know this. If it's releasing in 30 days, so you're going to win them, and then you can come back and talk to us.
Inside of my parentheses.
Yeah, that'd be great, because you know, you don't expect much in terms of success in your first year. And I started my pursuit in October. And
I don't want to
it's not even busy season, so I wasn't expecting much this early. And you know, it's fully supporting me financially, which you wouldn't think that would come from, you know, even early success. It's like you still gotta pay your dues or, you know, compromise until you get some good, you know, traction going or whatever. But my margins are
that's the question.
Double, if not more, on some than I was doing in my earlier work. So
that works up to a point.
It feels great if I can end the year with a MATOC, which I didn't even know what that was.
Watch these videos. I have a video exactly how to do
not that long ago.
All you need to do next is put it.
But yeah, that would be crazy.
This is
and it's weird because go ahead. I'm just saying it's weird because I'm pursuing construction, so it feels kind of felt foreign. Even though I do construction and I'm pursuing construction work, but you know, I don't know what it is about the federal government. It's just super intimidating. Even though the people you're talking to, they know less about the work than you do, and here you are feeling inferior to them. It's just a weird dynamic that's happening because it's not like I I've been in construction for 8 years, and I'm bidding on. I'm not bidding on new builds because that's why I know everything from the ground up. I'm building on small pieces like stucco or gate repair or mold remediation. Like these are not the scopes are not that crazy, but yet it's still intimidating. So I would just say for folks that are getting into the business, whether you have a background in that space or not, it's challenging mentally for nearly everybody that's getting into it. To start, and then you have those aha moments like
from here. This is going to use our local settings.
You know what I'm doing? You're just learning like the relationship side that might be different, the administrative, the contract, but those things you can research and learn. But the core of it, the work, if you have a background in it, that part you already know. But even for those that have the background, it's like you're still intimidated and second guessing yourself because even when I go on site, I'm nervous. I'm like, I don't know this space.
Don't worry about that. You're probably not going to use that too much.
So I would just say, like, being that somebody with a heavy amount of experience still feels that way, it's okay to feel that way, even when you don't have the background.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is because you keep pushing through.
So now what we can do is
the common thread with who you are, that you keep pushing through, and you're delivering what they desire and more, because if not, the contracting officer would have never mentioned that we talked to you. Ever.
And I can choose the manual
and
option
so
again.
it's great what you're doing. And as you mentioned, things are can be so different, even within the same agency. Every opportunity is different. Maybe the core or one of the stakeholders may be different for one effort versus another effort at the same location. So it's beautiful because you're redoing
the initial,
and that's what's needed in this space.
This isn't
just something you win a contract and then you're like, oh yes. I mean, no, it's like I personally found those smaller contracts. I'm like, why did we get this? Because you said something earlier. You said you're talking about like the size and being ready. All it is a number. That's all it is. It's just another decimal point. So it doesn't matter if a contract is $1,000 or $200 million in our view, right? How we've been socialized. And in reality, it really is just another number. Because you already know what you're doing. If you did not know what you were doing, you would not do contracts. I promise you. I get so many messages. I get so many messages, and people are lucky I'm not into rap because I would be, Lord, I'm not that person. But meaning, I get a lot of messages about people who, for whatever reason, don't have the contract.
Sometimes this happens with our designer, so I'm just going to take a quick look.
And there were times where we took a contract from someone.
Let's see if it actually
because the agency wanted to replace them.
See, it actually didn't say.
So the effort that goes into winning it and that exhilaration, that same bravado is needed to keep it and to grow it, and that's what you're doing, and that's why I'm so excited.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to even be on a platform where I could talk about my experience, being that I'm so new, so having an early success, is meaningful because others may be wondering when is theirs coming, and
I'll use the first one.
It can happen, sometimes it's luck.
Let's see
and other times it's persistence.
There we go.
And sometimes
much
it's a mixture
better.
of
this
both.
Is exactly what I want to see.
My goal is to pursue focus on volume. So I know that the conversion is not favorable. So if I work towards creating more opportunities for myself, which I think is pretty critical for a new person or anybody really in this space, is that might be the first thing to improve if nothing's converting, is focus on value, which is why I still dedicate 2 hours at minimum at the start of every day to just building my pipeline.
Yeah, that's critical. It's critical to build your pipeline, and then with your upcoming MIXTYPE, the key,
my two differences
again, many people don't talk about this because they've never won contracts, so they don't know how to work it. You have to
And
work
once you start to get into it, you can use some of your own knowledge base and background.
An award is given that's multiple awards.
That's our first one to work with. Pretty cool feature
more
there.
than one
Play
company
around with here every time
receive the award.
We now
and they're going to execute some kind of task order.
Let's try something else.
Right, some kind of order. They may, some agencies may call the task order by a different name, but anytime that you are competing against other people, you have to work it. Meaning, this is where your marketing comes in.
To do that, I'm going to set some things up first, and then we'll go ahead and build this
Who are the people that are involved in issuing the task orders?
Left corner.
Do you all already have an idea of what you want to issue the task orders for?
Okay, right here. Now, by the way,
would you like
right
any
next to it,
of
before I
our
click on that,
insight
right there,
or
if I ever wanted
any
to
kind of
rename
input
this flow,
on our
this is where I can
views
do it.
or
I can
our
just
thoughts on
click
what
edit,
you're looking
type
to
in the new name,
issue
save
task
it, and I
orders
can
on?
rename the
What
flow
can we do to
directly
like
from
position
I can also do the
ourselves
same
to
thing
win
when I
these
click on
task
this
orders?
blue
What are you
back
all
arrow,
really looking
not
for?
in the browser, but on the
What is it that
actual
we really
Power
can
Automate
do
window.
for you?
I can click
How
here,
often are you
and
going
in my
to
details, if I
issue
choose
these
edit,
task orders?
I can
How
rename
many
as well.
do you
This
think
is
that
the
you're
flow
going
run
to
detail
issue a
page.
year?
It just gives me information about
I know that you
flow,
said your
connections,
ceiling is
the
50
name,
million. I
the
got that.
owner,
What
how many
happens when you
runs
get
have I had in
close
the
to
last
the
28
ceiling?
days?
Are you going to raise the
Pass,
ceiling?
fail, all that good stuff, and a bunch of
These
things
are
up
the
here
things
for
to
me
do,
work. It's a really
and then
nice
you
feature
keep
to have if
following
you
up.
ever want to just review
So when you
some
find
of
out who the decision makers are, you can email them every
past and
week.
make sure it's still working.
Hey, 70, just saying hi.
But
You know,
what I'll do
right
here
now
is
in the
we'll cut it-
middle.
we'll come
Hey, I
back
just want
to
to
this
give you a
screen for our
before and
next one.
after.
Is let's
Here's a
go
project
over
that we
to
worked
the
on. Here's a before.
create
Here's an after of it.
Okay,
Just want to say
so
hi. Hope
create
all
our
is well. Because now you're not
When we
doing
select
anything
create,
nefarious.
this
You're
is
not
where we can
offering them
choose
gift
the
cards.
type
You're
of
not
flow
taking them
that we want to
to
design.
a sporting event.
The cloud
You're doing what
flows
we all
are the
love.
first
What is it?
three.
We love
The ones that
photos. We love
are
before and
talking about
after.
here
We
today.
love a story.
We just did.
So
an
you're doing
automated
that
cloud
through the
flow. When a
visuals.
new form
And then
response
you're
comes in,
positioning
that's what we
yourself
had created.
just
We can
exactly
choose the
who you
others from
are.
here
You're
as
here
well
to
if we
help.
want to. Custom ones.
Because that's
We
what
can
you've been
use
doing. That's why these
describe it to
agencies like
design
working
it
with you.
right here as well.
That's how you work
Same thing
with
we just
us.
did. We just click on this.
So then
to
they
get to the
say,
same
well,
spot.
we're going to take a
If we want
chance
to build
on
a
Ebony.
desktop flow, we
Because
can do
remember,
that
there's
as
multiple
well.
companies.
And we can also work with some
They don't have to go with you.
mining, process
They could
advisor
never issue a
flows
task
here as well to take a different
And
look
that's
at,
what gets people
some
messed
ideas
up.
on what
Because they
things
don't
are we'll be
realize
doing
that.
now
They
that we
think,
could
oh,
potentially create
I got a
for
seat
the
at the
future.
table, but it doesn't mean you're
What I
going
want to
to
do is create
So
a
to get
new
the food
custom
and to
workflow.
get the task order,
custom
Ebony,
workflow that I
it's
would
going
love
to also
have is,
dedicate. I mean,
let's
it will
say
also
that for
involve
our
you dedicating
organization, for our
time
team that we have,
to work
we
this,
use
that
SharePoint lists.
I'm big on
Help us
manifesting and not
collect
just manifesting the
Instead
win,
of
but
having
manifesting
an
every
Excel
step.
file
Because
or
it will
CSV
happen. There's no
file or
reason it
something
won't
else
happen.
in OneDrive
And then you're going to come
or
back and tell
SharePoint
us.
library. We're using lists to help us
I would love
organize
that.
some of our data.
So
If I
I'm
have
glad
a
you said
list
that. I'm going to have
and
to
I use
watch
it
this
as
video
maybe
myself
a
again
device request.
because I
Maybe
wasn't
if
thinking
I need a new
in that
laptop, a
way.
new monitor,
And
or
what a big
keyboard, or a
miss
mouse,
had I
or a
not,
webcam, or a microphone.
pursued
I want
it
to
in
request
the way that you
so
just
the
described. So I'm
organization
so
helps me
glad
get a new one.
that you mentioned that because I know that there is a
use a
possibility
SharePoint
that I
list
may
to
not
help
ever
us
be
manage
awarded. But
requests.
if I can
So
take
let's
some of
set
the
up
control
a list
back.
to do exactly that.
That's why I
So that
interject.
we
You're
can go
getting
ahead and
this
use Power
right.
Automate
So that
every
whatever
time
you just
a new
said, that I
request
don't know
comes
what that
in,
was.
we can
But
go
what
send
I,
that
I'm being serious.
automatically to
Our words
a
are
manager,
power. You will
to a
get this
supervisor,
MATOC.
to somebody, letting them know
And then you
a
will
new
work
request
the
has come in.
MATOC.
That-
It may
maybe
even
start on
involve
some
you going
approvals,
there.
maybe even start
But
some
that's the
extra things
key.
inside of that,
How do I know
so that
this?
we can
Because we've
see
had several
if this
blanket
whole
purchase
process being
agreements.
automated
We've
from
had
start
several
to finish
IDIQs
when a new
because I
request
have teaming partners who
Start
have been in all
with
different
that
spaces.
topic. Let's go ahead
And in order to
create
get the task
our
order,
SharePoint list
you
as a
have
data
to work
source
it.
before we start
Because
building
if
our
not, then
So what I wanna
why
do
would they
is
award
I'm going
something?
to use
If you know,
my
based on
app
your
launcher in the
experience,
top
hey, I was on your
I can
location
go
and I
back
noticed.
to
So
Microsoft 365
just quickly,
to get
that
to
happened with
SharePoint
us.
online.
We, with one
Or
of
the
our
app launcher here in the
IDIQs,
top left
one of our
corner
team members
will allow me
said
to
he
go
was our
to
subcontractor's
SharePoint. You
team
may
member.
not see
He didn't
all
want want to travel
that I have here.
He was like, I'm done traveling. He didn't want to, and when he would travel, he would be gone sometimes 2 weeks at a time, sometimes a month. He didn't want to do it anymore. So I went to the client and I said, I know that you really value this person's IT capabilities, but he doesn't want to travel anymore. How about we create a new position for a person to travel, and that's their role. It's like IT, but they just travel. What did he say?
So we can have
yes.
a very own list.
So I'm supposed to wait until what?
And it's a nice way
all
to
hell breaks loose,
all part of
and then it's like, then I just look like, okay, I'm an order taker. That's not what we are. We're here to add value.
Now that I have
you
a
know from your 8
SharePoint
years
site,
of
and I designed this site for different classes,
and they may not know.
And all that good stuff.
They may not know they need a roof. They may not know that there's potential remote.
I would like to
they may not know these things, and you come in, and then they're going to be like, see, Brenda, you were right. I'm so glad, girl, you advocate for Ebony. Look at her. Look at what she did for us. She ain't even over here charging all that money like those others.
For this list, I can create a blank list. I can create a template.
Yeah, and actually, for that same contracting officer who offered who mentioned the MIXTYPE, they asked for a change in the scope before we started, and I researched what am I allowed to charge or whatever, because I need to check everything. And come to find out what they were asking for, I even asked, I said, what do you have in your budget for this change? And they told me like 10 to 15,000. Because I'm like, if you don't have the budget, why even bother doing the research for this scope, for this change in scope? So when they told me that, I was like, okay, now let me figure out what it would cost. Turns out it would cost them nothing. So I was able to offer them the change and not charge for it. Now, if it were in the, in a different industry, that would not have been the case, because, I still spent my time to research it. I do have to make changes in my supply order, so my time is what they could have paid for. But because it was an equivalent swap, my research, and I could be wrong, but I found that I couldn't charge the government that. And I don't want those types of problems right now. And if I were to charge them anything, it wouldn't have been anything substantial, so I just left it at 0. I don't know if that made an impression, on the CO, just to show that, I had some integrity or whatever. They told me I had 10,000 to play with, and I didn't do nothing with it. So some people may view that as silly, but I don't know. What's your take?
It's a test.
Or I can call it something else if I'd like.
It's a test. That's what it is.
It should create the list for me,
because
so that I can go and use this as my data source.
$14,999
for you. This is our list.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily done that,
and it's really
and they would have
easy
said
to share
yes,
data back and forth.
And then they would have paid you.
So this is a
and
really
then
great
behind
way
the scenes,
of being able to have that. So
oh
you can pass
man,
it.
I looked that up.
Now,
I looked it up too.
What we can do here is start to add in fields. It looks like it added an extra column here for me. This looks like
because they tell me. I've had small business reps. I've had course. Why did one of our former COs just contact me for a job?
Everything should be
They tell us everything.
So now I'll use this list, and the goal is
definitely after the fact
is
right,
when a new
so what you did was a test, because right now this administration is all about fiscal responsibility. Not to say that other administrations haven't been, but this one in particular is really about competition, fiscal responsibility, GSA schedules, MATOCs, having these vehicles to vet and then get what they need at a really good price. So the fact that you did that, they're never going to forget that, and they're going to want more. And that's the other thing, is even as you're working the effort, it's still getting more work. Even if it's a one and done, how can I get more? Do you have anything else like that? Do you have a forecast? Is there anybody else I can meet with? Is there anyone you can recommend? That maybe they need something like this, and maybe y'all don't need anything else like this here, but do you have a colleague? Because especially those contracting officers, they all talk to each other. Yeah.
Okay. So
they all know who they are. So what you did is it's a very smart move, because it's positioning you for the long term. Those who have the mindset of, oh my gosh, that would have been $15,000 Yeah, and then you probably would put yourself in the position of never getting a contract.
When I'm designing a custom flow,
yeah, I think all those things added up. And
what's my end goal?
Yeah, at some point, I would like to sit down and reflect.
What is the last thing I
on
need?
Things that I may have done that benefited us without realizing.
Update a record.
Because even that contract, it was challenging to start, and I almost declined it because, well, one, it presented as a solid opportunity because they reissued it, asking for contractors to reconsider their previous bids. So I'm like, they clearly didn't get anything within their budget, and they stated what their range was. So I'm like, let me just come in right under it, because I know stucco. I'm like, this is feasible in your budget. So the fact that they weren't getting, any bids within that, I'm like, I can figure it out. And then my first quote from a sub came back as over that. And so I almost declined it. And I'm grateful that he did, because it forced me to pursue more subs. And the new sub came in at 20 under that one. So I had like 3 estimates that were over what I bid. And then I had one that came in under, but I almost declined it, and I would have missed the opportunity to make like 20,000, and also all these other things that followed. But I just wanted to point out how, just reading through the description on SAM, I learned that there was a real opportunity there because they weren't getting their number, and if it made sense to, because it was a request for both. It wasn't a proposal, so I didn't have any risk if I ended up declining the award later. So I'm like, let me just submit, work this thing out in the meantime. If they come back with an award, then I would have already sorted it out. But I just thought there was potential there, because they were saying your budget was like $60,000 to stucco a 4,000 square foot single family. So, and I do, stucco in Florida for far less.
That's going to be my trigger.
But anyway, it was just weird how things played out and how it could have been a missed opportunity.
Go ahead, set up our connections.
And I walked away with close to a 20K profit.
So let's go ahead and set up our first step of this flow,
which is amazing.
Email going.
I mean, especially, I believe like the average individual income is anywhere maybe 30 to 55,000 a year. And the only reason I give that range is because it depends exactly on the year, where you are in the United States, like an individual. So a $20,000 profit is like, some people don't even make $20,000 a year. And this is the beautiful thing that I always want to emphasize.
40. I'll see a list of 40 here.
It's about, you take the blessings, you take it, and it adds up. The people that are over here like, I need a profit of whatever hundreds or millions. I'm like, you're missing the point.
So now what we can do is
when people keep going for the shiny,
go ahead and start to
it's not going to work out.
Our next step.
One of my mentors, Barbara, she would always say,
and all we're going to do is take the same
she would always say to me about
logical sequence that
the government always wanted a deal,
and move it here.
And it's about volume.
Luckily with SharePoint, we don't have to have an
intermediate. She would always talk about that.
The details of the item.
And she had over 200 employees.
So what we can do,
she had so many contracts. She had a map, and it was one of my favorite visuals, and this still works today. Is you create a map of the United States or the world, and you point, or you put a little thing, drop a pin where you've had a contract. Right?
Choose from here.
And so, as a result, she was fairly profitable, although her rates were lower, because she wasn't about the cash grab. She wasn't about like some windfall. She understood business. Just like restaurants, their profitability is usually 5%.
So it is
There's other industries where the profit is not 89%. So you stack up 20.
Keep that in mind as we're
5 of those in a month.
Go ahead and go send, and
I mean, it's like, that's the thing, because a bigger business or other, I don't want to go after
Keep in mind,
you know, it's like
connector,
this
the service
uppity,
you're
like,
doing
and I used to be that person, so
Office
that's why I say these
365
things. You know, I'm not
Outlook. That means
speaking
our
out of
Microsoft
turn. I'm speaking
365
from how I used to be.
If
Like,
we come down
oh,
here,
I don't want to
there's
bid
Gmail.
on that opportunity for
Outlook.com, that's your
one
Hotmail
trainer
account,
or
your Gmail,
half
your
a
Windows Live,
person,
your other
half-time
accounts that you have
person, you
here.
know, and it's
Keep
like,
in mind which
not
connector
anymore.
you're
It's like
using
it all
because
adds
you'll
up.
have
So I'm really excited and proud of you. And I promise you, you're getting that
let's
freaking
come in here,
Maytalk.
and I'm going to choose send
Ebony,
an
you're getting
email
that Maytalk, and then what's going to be
This is the
beautiful is
updated
it'll position you for
edition
additional
of the send an
Maytalks.
email
That's
section.
the thing. And then, okay,
before we had the
I'm just
original
throwing
send
this
an
in
email,
there
now
because
we're
I'm
using
so
the
excited.
newest version,
And
version
then you
2
want to
of
be
this.
real
So it just
spicy.
updates
Listen,
all
this is
that
going to be
with all
real
the new features,
controversial, but
so you
I'm a
can
business
select
owner,
that.
so I'm about it. Then
Now what I want to do
then what
is
you
I'm
do
gonna
is
send an email
then you go
to
after your 8A, and then you sell your
whoever
business to the white guy.
made the request. The requester.
Yeah.
Because I would want to give them just
Hold on, did you hear that?
info,
So
and then we'll go ahead and
listen,
set up all the next steps.
listen, because
So
people
I'm
are
gonna
like,
come here too.
what? So right now,
Custom value.
it's kind of difficult to get an 8A.
Don't think of custom value.
They're not approving as many. So you take a little
Enter custom
time,
value.
you get your
There's our
wins,
lightning
and
bolt
in a few
again.
years,
And now
not
we've
right
done this
now, toward
already,
the
so we can
latter
really quick
part
there.
of the
I'm gonna
administration,
select
you apply for an
lightning
8A.
bolt, and now I can say
Because by then, people who don't look like us
Which
will start
SharePoint,
to get
specifically with
8As. And then they may not know how
This
to grow their
requester
company,
column.
but then you have an
This is a
8A, and you already
people
know what it takes. And
person column.
or a majority share or whatever share you want. You could share a minority share
which
to
means
somebody that
person
doesn't,
column's
to a
looking
white
up to
guy
the
who's
users,
getting
Office
an
365
8A, and then
users,
once you
for the
graduate,
people
you
inside
sell
of the
rest.
tenant. It's going to grab information
Because
about that
8A
user.
is expiring, that's why you're saying?
So it's going to
Right,
get their
and because
name,
they're
display name. It's
they're
gonna get their
opening up the
email address. It's
8A
gonna get their
to
job title.
anybody
Other
who meets the
pieces of
requirements,
information
not
that you
based
can
on
use
race.
here inside of Power Automate.
So
For
you
us,
would
we're
you
just simply
position
going to
yourself,
use
you get an
the
8A.
requester
Even if
email.
it's year one, let's say 3 years from now, you get your 8A. Even
the
if it's
request.
year one,
Then subject.
you have the past
Maybe I'll put
performance, the experience, the
details
know-how.
about
So you may find somebody who's like, oh, I want to come in
device
here and get this 8A
request.
thing. And so then the
And I can
guy's
add
like,
in
I'll
the
just buy
body,
it outright.
And I'm just not going to format
Because
my
then,
email
as
too
long as they
specific
have
here.
their
I'll just
8A,
put in
they're
some
going to need to get
details.
their 8A,
I'll
or
put
maybe
in
it takes them a
device.
year.
And then
So
just
you
do some
help, you
bullet
kind of mentor
here,
them for
just
that
kind of
year,
like
then you
our
sell your
last one.
business and
Should go
start
really
running.
quick. Of course, we do
And it's valuable because of the past performance still claim?
device.
contracts,
It should be
that's the
title.
valid
That's how it's
piece.
stored in SharePoint.
Your
So I'm
contracts,
gonna
your
use
past
title for the
performance,
device, in this
your
case,
relationships, and then you've done all the groundwork. So it's no different than somebody buying a franchise.
I never thought about it being an option to sell. But my exit was just stack.
Dates, priority. Let's do that. I'll put a description.
Exit. Yeah. Okay.
Marked on your map.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Add in some
because
dynamic
especially
content
now
here.
that
There's description. Maybe
the
I'll
focus
use,
is
I'll
on
use
anyone
priority.
who meets the requirement. So now you're going to have this population of people who maybe they have worked for 8As, maybe they've even helped grow 8As, but they were never able to
To
lead
get to all the other
a majority
fields,
owner
I'll
of an
have to click
8A.
right here, see.
It's a
Notice
to a whole new
46,
world.
Which means that SharePoint gives us
So
not
then
just the custom
why not
ones
buy
that
your
we design,
business?
but all
And it's
of
like
the
a
other
3 to
ones
5
that
year
are
play.
automatically created as well.
I wanted to retire in 5 years, so
You'll see
this
here,
is
there's
really
our
intriguing.
priority
Listen,
value.
Evan, there's a
Any
reason we're talking.
choice column will always have value. The
And how do
actual
I know this? In
numerical
case
value
somebody's
that the
like,
choice
okay,
display label
so
is
my
being
mentor
used,
sold her
the value that
company.
it helps it index and all that good stuff
She
underneath.
was,
That's what we're
or
gonna
is,
choose
she's
here.
still alive.
Priority.
She's a white
And
woman.
then finally,
she got
I'll
an
put in
8A.
one last one.
She got an 8A before I met her. I think she got her 8A maybe a year before
And
mine.
one last one
Before I
here,
got mine.
estimated cost. I'll
And
put that
she
in here.
exited.
I can hit C.
She sold her
or
company,
I can actually
and she had
search
venture
and see
capitalists. She had a lot of people interested in her
cost.
company.
There it is.
And so she shared with me all of the behind the scenes
Now
as
I
to
can
what went
save
into her
this.
being able to legally
And
sell
let's
her
test
8A
it
firm.
on our first
And
level.
so
Always test level
now
by
that
level.
the
Make sure things
8A
are working great
landscape
for
has
yourself.
changed,
Test this
it
first
opens
level,
it up
then
because
we'll
when
add
she
in
sold
our
her
next
company,
stage for
she could only sell to certain
So I'm gonna
people,
come in and
right?
test.
Like you had to have an 8A, and typically if you had an 8A, you weren't a white
So go ahead
man.
do
And
this.
so now
Yeah, same thing that
it's
we did before,
opening
test
things
in the
up.
upper right-hand corner. You have to save it
So
first, otherwise
if
this will appear
somebody
for you.
is a white
Test,
man and maybe they have a
manual
government
test. I'm
contracting
gonna click test
company and they
right
want to
here.
pivot
All I need to
into
do
construction,
now is go ahead
Get
and
an
spinning
8A and buy
waiting.
one.
I'm going
Yeah.
to add an item. So I'm going to make a new request. Add an item.
And it's something way more potential than I thought.
Right, and most people aren't talking about that again because they don't have any experience. Bless their hearts, they don't. So they're not able to talk to you about exiting or have experience or had the late night calls and emails from their mentor talking about Kizzy had us down all this wine because I'm trying to figure out this buy. I mean, I was, and I was sober then. I was like, oh boy, I mean, I'm still sober, but I was like, oh, this is real, because I didn't know what went into selling a business. You would just hear like so-and-so exited or they sold a business. I didn't know about all of the steps that you would have to go into to sell a government contracting company when you have
priority. I'm going to say this is.
Are you still
She had graduated. Her or me? Me? You. No, we graduated.
I won't pick a huge one or a super fancy, so I'll call it one.
But because we had the 8A,
we can go find something.
I paused it. Bonus strategy for
I would normally hide this in SharePoint for my users or not allow them to see
legally. I paused it,
right now,
and then President Trump changed the 8A and gave everybody an extra year. So I ended up with 10 years. So I think we graduated in 2020. And I say think because again, that's for a whole nother video.
Monitoring
that reason to pause
that site, waiting for the request
at the time, whenever there was like a national disaster or some kind of disaster at the state
when
level,
we get to this next stage,
you could pause your 8A because
the questions here coming in, and Devin
in theory, if there's a disaster, it could impact your ability to execute
the work. When we get to the approval section, what we're going to do is we're going to try to dynamically
depending on the disaster, it could have an impact on your business.
To go ahead
so
and
at the time, it was around
them a message
COVID,
to have
and we were in our last, I think, year of the 8A program, and I always did business development. That's been my sweet spot. And what I would do is gallivant across the United States and meet in person with everybody under the sun. If it was an envelope opening, I was there. And because of COVID, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go anywhere. I can't meet anyone. How am I able to generate any 8A business? Because the vast majority of 8A business at the time was sole source. So if
walk away, it's already done. Call up IT, and it's like, oh, they fixed my problem without me doing it.
So I was like, I can't go in person.
Item is created.
And I believe the president had
designated
a national disaster or something like that.
This is the
and then I was informed by my business operations specialist who worked for the SBA that you could pause your 8A.
So we
and I said, okay, this is perfect because I don't want to lose time because you only get 9 years unless you're super 8A.
Next is
so I reached out to them and they were like, oh, it's so simple. You just do this paperwork, pause the 8A, but keep in mind, you can't get any 8A work, can't get sole source, you can't get any new work. And I was like, that's fine. And so that's why I did it.
So let's do one thing here
and then I unpaused it within a few months because by that time everybody started to embrace the life
so let's do one last thing here and that's to
right everybody started using video conferencing. We have the new way of doing business and so then it changed where I was able to communicate.
I'm in Europe, I want the euro. I'm out so where I want the yen, the yuan, whatever I want to add that.
You're amazing, Ebony. I can't thank you enough.
Add that in here with Power Edit.
I know people will hunt you down.
We did our format hour date
and reach out to you. What's the best way that you want them to reach out to you?
Go back to my cost. Move it first.
Social media, Facebook.
If I remove it,
Ebony Jones.
Click on my FX. Just like we did with the dates.
To find.
I can click on FX.
Are you on LinkedIn at all? I'm just curious.
LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn.
Okay, I would say y'all, LinkedIn is a great way to connect with Ebony because as you're blowing up there in the government space.
Which
you are.
Number
you're getting the MATOC. You're going to grow the MATOC. You're going to get a task order on that MATOC within 6 months, maybe 5 months of when they actually execute it. Go forward with it. Don't forget, y'all, like, subscribe, hit the notification. LinkedIn, you're crushing it. You're here in Florida?
I actually just moved to California.
Okay.
So I'm going to format.
So you just moved to California, hence the hat.
Yes.
Okay. I love it.
It's called
Super
Field
cute.
5. It's only called Field 5.
I love it. Anything else before we close? You're amazing. I'm so excited. I am like, this is the highlight of the week.